think we're going to start. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Global Love Institute conference. We are celebrating 18 years of the Institute this year and our 25th Global Love Conference. So if we're including New York, London, Singapore, and the Dominican Republic, that's 25 conferences under our belt. So it's quite exciting. So thank you so much for all being here. Let me pop up. Hold on. I need to put up my slides, Ricardo.
Yep.
Okay.
Your slides.
All right. Slideshow. All right, here we go. All right, guys. So what a freaking crazy year this last year was. So, I really wanted to sort of look at this year and kind of do our normal theme of reflecting on this year. And so last year's theme was vulnerability, and this year is self-reflection in leadership. And I think for the first time in most of our lives, we've had a lot of downtime and a lot of time to try and figure out like the meaning of life. And so when I was thinking about sort of what I wanted to think about, I kind of was like, who am I and what do I do? Like, what do I do in my life that makes sense? And what I realized and what got me up in the morning is that I am so incredibly lucky to be doing a job that is the essence of who I am. And this is what I do for a living. I help people find love, and I grow and learn myself during my profession. And so on those crazy bad days, when I wake up and I go to work, I'm actually coming out of myself and seeing others and helping them grow. And I feel like that has been just so crucial in my personal growth and my appreciation of how incredibly lucky I am to have found this career. And so some of my favorite quotes were, "Unless you learn to face your own shadows, you will continue to see them in others, because the world outside you is only a reflection of the world inside you." I mean, how true is that? Not only for ourselves, but also working with clients that are angry and bitter, always see the obstacles of why relationships can't work and what the issues are in others. And another piece is compare less, reflect more, which is connected to that, which is like, how can I learn and grow myself to understand who I am and look at others as an opportunity to learn and connect rather than reflect, especially when we're in bad moods or feeling down. So I liked those two quotes. And I really want to look at sort of leadership, partially because we work so hard in these conferences to bring global leaders in and people to talk about what they're doing, their research, etc. And I think a lot of people will say, wow, how can I lead like that person? Or I want to be more like Brene Brown. I want to be more like this great thought leader. And what I really realized is it's so important to not strive to copy great leaders, but instead become a leader by cherry picking the nuggets that you learn in life and then incorporate that knowledge into the essence of who you are. What are your superpowers? What makes you lead in a unique way? And so it made me think about all the pioneers and sort of what they're bringing. And it's not always the person that's like, oh, wow, they're an instant leader. But it really is, pioneers are the people who pave paths in their individual ways, and they are making mistakes and they're learning and they're collaborating and they're connecting in order to become that leader. So it's so incredibly crucial to kind of look at all different types of people. What connects to you, and what are your strengths that make you unique to be able to lead in your way? And then you're bringing something to the world that is not already there. So my background is I came from a social work background that thrives in collaboration and learning. And so 20 years ago, if I were to look at the leaders of the industry, the leaders were saying collaboration is competition. I mean, collaboration is not acceptable. It's all about competition. And so all of us coming together today, we are recreating this industry together. And this industry now thrives on collaboration and education. So all of you here that are here today are pioneers. We're all collaborators, and we're helping blaze the path for regulating and unifying this industry, which is an incredibly powerful message. And so thank you, everybody, for being here today, for participating, for being open to education and collaboration. It's everything. And so think about utilizing this time in this self-reflection on why are you in this career? What are you really good at? What area of your work are you really good at and you thrive in, so that you can really focus on those areas and be unique to that leadership that is you. So that being said, who is behind the scenes of the Global Love Institute? I wanted to talk a bit about our team and who you can be familiar with, who you can reach out to for different questions. So me, Lisa Clampitt, so I'm the founder. I've been involved since the beginning, 2003. I also am a matchmaker and run my own company called Lisa Clampitt Matchmaking out of New York City. Jamie Lee and Violet Lim. So these guys have been around since the beginning as well. Violet was one of the first matchmakers to be certified in 2004, came all the way from Singapore to be certified, and went back to create one of the biggest and most successful dating companies in Southeast Asia called Lunch Actually. These guys have been collaborators and an inspiration to the Institute for many, many years. And so Jamie Lee is in charge of product development, but really they are helping sort of run the whole concept of the Institute, helping support, and I'm incredibly grateful for their support and their friendship. So that's Jamie. One of our newest members, Corey Materi, is in charge of business development. She joined us in the fall, and she is the go-to person for any of our products, any of our support resources. You can set up an appointment with her. She can run you through what resources we have, and she's been amazing. Thank you, Corey. Adrina Ong, who has been with us for a couple of years now, runs marketing and events. So she's trying to sort of make everything run smoothly behind the scenes in terms of what you see and any sort of products and events that we have. Ricardo De La Rosa has been with us close to 6 years, if you can believe that, and he's in charge of operations and support, and he's going to be doing regular CRM demos and any technical support or any assistance you need, he's the go-to man. Marty Domingan is our technical development specialist who is in charge of our CRM, the Global Love Database, and any other technical developments we have, he's our guy. And then Terri is in charge of the Global Love Report, which we just launched last year, which is all the updates on the offline love industry. So welcome, Terri. So what have we been working on since last year, since our last conference last year? So when the pandemic hit, I think everyone was like, what are we doing? How do we come together? How do we run our businesses? So we started a web series, webinars. Our first one was really utilizing technology in the industry. And then our second one was how to monetize your love business in the times of Corona. And we had some really great speakers. And then our last one was implicit bias for love professionals, which was just so helpful in being aware of what our biases are. And that's so crucial when we're doing the work that we're doing. So for those of you who've missed it, we're going to send out this presentation to all of the attendees at the conference. And so you'll be able to download the videos of the webinars. Then mid-2020, we actually did an industry survey on the impact of COVID-19 on the offline dating industry. And we did this in partnership with the Matchmakers Alliance. Thank you, Maria, Lori, and Michelle for participating and getting the word out. This was really helpful to sort of see where everyone was and what support folks needed. And you guys will be able to download the results if you haven't already. We have started spotlighting certified matchmakers and date coaches. So that comes out in our global love report, and that'll be really helpful to start being more familiar with who's out there, who are the players, where are they located, what is their niche market. And so we have Bonnie, Denise, Margot, and Abby in this profile. And you can learn more about all of the matchmakers as they come out and recertify or certify. You can look at their interviews, both video and written. And then in January, we launched the Global Love Mastermind. I think a lot of folks are sort of in between, okay, I'm certified, and then there's the Professional Love Connectors group, but I want more. I want more learning. I want more collaboration. I want accountability partners. I want ongoing connection. So we created the Global Love Mastermind to not only help people connect in a group, but also to have monthly webinars. So our webinars are the second Wednesday of every month. So the first webinar was in January, and it was basically an introduction to the purpose of the mastermind. February, we actually did referrals to riches, creating profitable professional partnerships. And our next one will be April 14th, which is using social media to recruit matches. That's a really hot topic. Then the Global Love Report, if you guys have not subscribed to that, that is really a great way to not only keep track of like highlighted matchmakers, but also to learn all about the industry trends, initiatives, and news. So we actually will share top articles in the love industry. So that's really helpful to keep up to date. Our Global Love Database, that is our CRM that helps you manage clients, boost sales, monetize and acquire leads, and it is utilized for easy matching. So just another note on that is we are going to be doing regular demos, and it is free for the first user, and for certified matchmakers, it's free for 2 users. So it's a really great resource. Okay, let's talk a bit about rebranding. Why the Global Love Institute? Since we've been starting certifying 3 years ago coaches, we wanted to include coaches and any other offline professionals that were not necessarily identified as matchmakers. So we wanted to make a more global approach. So we did Global Love Institute. A little bit about our resources on Facebook, because we do have several different groups. So our largest group is the Professional Love Connectors group, which has about 750 members. You need to be an active love professional to be in that group. But if you're not already in it, please apply to be in it. It's a really great group for connection, collaboration, and staying connected with others. Then we have the Global Love Coach group, which is for coaches. And then we have the Global Love Mastermind group, which is for certified matchmakers. And then the two other groups that we have, which are for matchmakers and date coaches going through the actual certification training. We have the online matchmaker training class group, and then the science-based online training class group. And then our pages are Global Love Institute, Global Love Report, and Global Love Database. Our future plans. So next month, we are launching our Global Love Marketplace, which will be a marketplace to have access to leads and your area. A lot of you have pre-registered for that. Please look out for invitations to continue to pre-register. We will also finally, it's been a while where we're organizing all of a list of all the certified matchmakers. And there's so many matchmakers these days, you know, thousands and thousands of matchmakers. So the only way we're able to organize everyone is if you've been certified, get recertified. If you haven't been certified, contact us, but we are going to have everyone sort of fill out their information and sign the code of ethics, and we will be able to organize you within our system so that you'll be able to access other certified matchmakers. So that is going to be launched next month as well. Then the CRM is going to increase capability of the cross-match features. So you'll be able to send each other matches and be able to look at other potential matches that matchmakers are posting. So that'll be really helpful for collaboration. And we'll be doing demos on all of these capabilities. And we'll continue our free webinars as well. So look out for our next Global Love Conference, which will be in September. We'll announce the exact dates within the next couple months. So that is my introduction to the conference. I wanted to open it up for any questions or any comments that any of you might have on anything that I have talked about. So Corey, do you know if anyone sort of asked questions or commented in the...
No, so far no questions or comments.
Hi, everyone. Now I can see you. Because hi, so excited to see everyone. It's so sad because normally we'd be in the same room together and we'd be like, woo, couldn't control ourselves, hugging, kissing, etc. But I miss you all so much. And this year has been, wow, so intense and so powerful and so, I don't know, just for me, so life-changing. And God, what I took for granted and what I value in life really, you know, came to the forefront. And I think a lot of you probably, you know, feel the same way. But I know that I've gotten to know a handful of you better. I'm making so much more of an effort to see individuals and connect to individuals because I think we all run around in life and get distracted. And so, I don't know, as hard as this last year has been, it's also been a weird gift of downtime, a gift of getting to know each other, a gift of really evaluating the meaning of life, you know? And so it's just, I'm just so happy to see, I'm going to scroll and see everybody.
Lisa,
Oh
we have
my
two
God.
questions. One was we're going to be sending out materials, and that is a yes. We'll be sending something at the end of the conference, and then also about the Global Love Report Spotlight. How do we go about talking with people and interviewing them?
Yeah, so as soon as you are recertified, or if you're certified, again, there's no way, we've certified a couple thousand people over the years, and it's very hard to keep track of who's currently in business. You know, what does your business plan look like these days? Who do you want to collaborate with? What resources are you providing to others? Who are you taking as a client. It's there's no way to do this if we don't organize and recertify. That's the only way I know how to do it. If you guys have better suggestions, please let me know. Because also, I think a lot of times there's players in this business that maybe are not ethical. So we have a dispute resolution service that is free for certified matchmakers. So if you guys are saying, hey, this person is not a great player, you can send us information on people. You can tell singles to submit reports on people. This is the only way to regulate the industry. So what we're trying to do with the spotlight is when people recertify or certify is we're like, hey, this person is in this area with this business plan. This is who they are. Collaborate with them. So please let us know if you are certified within the past 3 years and you haven't had a spotlight. Let us know. If you're certified and over 3 years ago, you have to get recertified. We made this conference free so that you can put that $250 towards recertification. So that's really, really, really important. And again, please let us know if there's any other suggestions or ways to organize the industry that we haven't thought of. But it's a big industry, and we're doing the best we can to bring everyone together and to learn and understand about everyone. So any other questions?
No, but I did put in links to Renew Your Global Love Institute's certification if you're 5+ years, and then also if you're new to the industry or have less than 5 years and would like to get certified. And I also put the link to the Global Love Report as well in the chat room.
I just realized a huge blunder we made, which is Rachel Russo is not on our team list. Rachel, what have we done? Oh my God. Rachel's been with us for years. She's our top instructor. And Terri Orbuch is not on our team list. She's our top instructors. We've lost our minds. Sorry, guys. So Rachel Russo runs the matchmaking certification training. She has been with us for so many years. Unbelievable instructor. Thank you for all your support and all that you've done for all these years. I can't even believe we did that. And Terri Orbuch is a freaking knowledge master of coaching and research. And she's just been an incredible instructor for our coaching certification program. So, wow, sorry about that, guys. So any other comments or any other questions before I announce our, we have a sponsor this year, which is kind of fun because I know that I try and do, I think all of us are stalkers where we do a little background check on everybody. And in fact, because it's unlimited, I've been verified, everyone has their different background check company. I actually just stalk everyone I meet and everyone I know. It's the best tool. But there is, thanks to, hold on, let me share my screen. Ricardo, can you put up the slides for the background check company? So we can share, and thank you, Shauna Tibby, who is the person that connected us with this background check company, where folks, if you want more in-depth background checks for your clients or for matches, Total Reporting offers more extensive background checks. And here, go down 2 slides. Okay, so they do background checks, tenant screenings, and go down to the last slide. So they have different sort of programs, which I'm thinking, like for myself, if I have a client that really is concerned and wants more information on their matches, etc., maybe you can upsell them to get further background checks for their matches. But also, if you want to background check your clients, that could be really interesting. So Total Reporting is offered to do a Zoom seminar for our attendees, just to get more information and to sort of understand what their resources are. Does anyone do additional background checks that is beyond been verified? All right, you can take that down, Ricardo. Thank you. So that's Total Reporting, and thank you so much, Total Reporting, for being a sponsor this year. Does anyone do more extensive background checks or any recommendations of sort of like the been verified? I know that folks use there's several different ones that are subscription based. I think I pay like $15 a month and it's unlimited. So anyway, that could be something that you guys might want to sort of put in the Professional Love Connectors group if you guys have had really great success with other companies. And I strongly recommend everyone, if you're interested, to sign up for the Zoom to get more information for background checks. So, all right. So I am very excited. Hold on. Let me figure out my little technology here. Okay. So I am thrilled, I can't even tell you, to bring my old buddy, Julie Furman, back into the mix. So Julie Furman has been in the industry for like longer than I have. She's been here for over 30 years. And when the Institute was doing conferences back in 2006, Julie Furman was our partner buddy doing these conferences with us. And so I was really excited to have her back in the mix. She's going to be doing emceeing for the rest of this conference, introducing the speakers, etc. So Julie's background, she's been a veteran for 30 years. She married her own matchmaker. I know she'll talk to you more about that. She spent every day helping singles navigate the dating process and has over 1,200 successful couple stories under her belt. She hosts the Cupid's Coach podcast, and her matchmaking clients are specifically in Los Angeles and the Santa Fe area. So I am just so thrilled and honored to welcome Julie Furman to the stage. Hey, Julie, welcome.
Here we go. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I would have been at the conference last year had not this COVID thing happened, but what we've all done in the meantime is innovated, collected ourselves, and here we are with over 300 people, close to 400 people at this conference all over the world. I want to acknowledge Lisa Clampitt for all the work that she's done. Lisa is somebody who really does care about collaboration. It's not that we should be in competition with each other. We should be collaborating. We should be, I like the theme of this conference, self-reflection in leadership. To me, that just says we need to be walking our talk. And what are we all doing today and tomorrow, but learning and growing and continuing to sharpen our tools that we use every day in the work that we do. So welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. You're in for a wild ride, and it's very well organized. The conference speakers are the leaders in the industry. So over these next couple of days, focus on what you're doing here. Try not to multitask. It's very tempting to be looking in our email boxes. I suggest put all that on dark and only focus here. That's why we're here. It's consolidated, it's all capsulized, and if you really engage fully with focused attention, I promise you it will be worth your time. I want to thank Lisa for doing this. She's been doing this selflessly for, I don't know, 18, 19 years, really long time. I'm sure she makes great money in her personal matchmaking division of her company, but this she does out of a spirit of contribution to all of us. And I think you can feel that. So thank you so much, Lisa, for doing what you do and putting your team together. Now, I'm excited also that we have this new sponsor. I know that Lisa and her team will be giving us information about the Zoom call that we're all going to be invited on for total reporting. I'm personally excited about it. We are all professional sleuths. We are professional snoops, and we're all pretty darn good at using our tools behind the scenes when somebody registers with us or calls us to see who is this person really. And I've always wanted to be able to get a little bit deeper in the ability that I have as a matchmaker to see into people. So I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to that Zoom call. I think we'll all be interested. Now I want to tell you who our first speaker is. Oh my goodness gracious. His name is Mark Brooks, and he is basically the guy I consider to be the go-to guy for the answer to the question, what's happening in the dating industry at the moment? And so much so that Mark Brooks has been quoted by the media over 250 times. I mean, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, on and on. He's keynoted 45 of these kinds of conferences. He's been the guy that we go to with that question for decades. He's Harvard educated, London School of Economics educated. He and his family, his beautiful wife and his 3 unbelievably gorgeous daughters, they live in both Malta and the United States, but now also Dubai. In case you wondered if he has any global experience, he does. He's basically our global guy. So he runs the internet dating business agency consultancy called Cortland Brooks, and that's 29 seasoned internet dating professionals who are available to assist companies with strategy, business development, marketing, media relations. So they've helped over 100 clients, people we know like Plenty of Fish, Cupid, Meet Me, iOvation, goes on and on. He runs an organization called IDEA, which is the Internet Dating Excellence Association. And now what I'm really enjoying is this signature event, which is called LTR. It's invitation only. You have to be invited. It's awesome. It stands for Love, Technology, Relationships. Think of it like a TED Talks for the internet dating and online social community industries. He also runs something called OSCA, which is the Online Social Community Association. And Mark believes that the future effectiveness of internet dating services will hinge on our ability to recognize behavior traits, correlate them to character, and predict compatibility. I'm excited about all of that. Welcome to the program, Mark Brooks.
There we go. Great. All right. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for the introduction, Julie and Lisa. And I'm going to bring up my screen here. If you could enable me. There we go. I'm not enabled for screen sharing. I'll try
Just
again.
a moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
It's done.
Thank you.
Great.
Rock and roll. So I'll do share screen. Make sure I get the right screen. And here we go.
Yeah.
Is that sharing all right? Great. Wonderful to be here. Thank you. It's an honor to be able to speak today. And I'm going to give you an overview of some landmark advances in the dating industry, and also an overview of some of the leaders and some of the key trends that I think you'll find quite interesting, and also overview some of the more interesting properties and the very diverse approaches that we've got in the internet dating industry. And I'm going to bring up some challenges which I think are probably your key challenges as matchmakers. And I'll give you a quick overview of Cortland Brooks at the end. So yes, we've got 29 people, actually 30 people on the team now. It's my wife and I that run Cortland Brooks since 2005, and I've been in the dating, in the business of love since, well, even before 2000, 1996, I started a club in Silicon Valley and got hooked on this. In fact, actually what happened is people started coming to my club and getting married, and I thought that's an awful lot of responsibility, and I wanted to understand that responsibility and process more, and ended up working with social networks and then into the internet dating business. So I run Cortland Brooks. Also, I think it'd be good for you to be aware of the Internet Dating Excellence Association. It's made up of 700 leaders of internet dating and matchmaking companies. And more recently, I've started LTR.us. And this is really TED for the dating industry. We have 3 speakers. It's online only, 30 minutes of networking and 30 minutes at the end of networking. You might be familiar with Online Personals Watch. We've been bottling the dating and matchmaking news since 2005. So we look over the news, we summarize it, and then we send it live for you every day. So we essentially condense 3 hours of reading to 3 minutes of reading. There we go. Can I forward? I lost my controls momentarily. What's going on? I'm not able to forward for some reason. Why is that? Hold on. I think Zoom is corrupting me. No. What just happened? That's strange. I'm not able to forward.
Let me help you. Let me help you.
Okay,
Just a moment.
Yeah, there we go.
You were on. Yeah. Let me just share the screen here really quick. A moment. This one, right?
There we go. Great. So, so here's an overview of some landmark advances and a good way for you to think about how the online personals industry has progressed over the years. Let's go back in time, if you will, to the days of newspaper personals. And back in those days, it used to be a real tedious job to groom through pages of profiles, trying to find somebody who's in the right location with the right background, right age and orientation. So this was not an easy process. And so the first stage of really advance of internet dating, the very first value was that you were able to search. So we'll go back to 1994 to webpersonals.com and 96 to Match and Matchmaker.com. And the very first thing they enabled was the ability to find the people that you're interested in dating. But once you found them, the next problem was how to actually communicate. And back then you actually had to mail in a letter to a mailbox and then wait for them to get that letter and respond in kind. So it was very antiquated, of course, with personals. So what we did then was enable people to not only communicate via email, but through the years, we've gone to text, we've gone to even more recently video. And so this is very key to the value that internet dating brings now. We help search, we help communicate. And there's some interesting corollaries with matchmaking, of course. The communication element is extremely important. And what matchmakers do best is help those two people communicate perhaps more effectively and in a more informed manner. So, but what do? We're all about tappity tap in the past. And I think this is a very antiquated mode of communication. I think video is the future. I think video is great because video doesn't lie. You can essentially do the first date online. That's very powerful. And I'll talk to that more shortly. But you know what, the part that I'm most excited about for the advance that the internet dating industry has had over flat, boring personals back 20, 30, 100 years ago was our ability to, in theory, help people form more compatible relationships. And we see advances with the likes of eHarmony many years ago. What was it, 2004, 2005 time that eHarmony rose through the ranks in the USA with their 236 questions, would you believe? Of course, they got it down to 100 once they moved to mobile. That is, the company is now owned by a German company and is on a different platform. Chemistry is another company you might recognize. This was headed by Dr. Helen Fisher, who is an anthropologist. Neil Clark Warren, incidentally, from eHarmony, was a clinical psychologist. And now Chemistry is under Match. And we have Perfect Match as well. You might remember Perfect Match from years ago. This was headed by Pepper Schwartz as the lady behind the algorithm, and she's a sociologist. One can't help wondering, wouldn't it be great if our sociologist, our clinical psychologist, and our anthropologist would all talk? Wouldn't it be great if they could actually compare their method and combine those methods? Maybe one day. Let's talk about the leaders and the trends in the internet dating industry. These numbers are brought to you by Sensor Tower. Thank you very much, Sensor Tower. They do competitive intelligence, essentially. They run panels, they bubble up numbers, and they're very good right now for the dating industry. They're quite nice about, well, A, allowing me to use these numbers, and B, actually producing a report on the dating industry on a fairly regular basis. Now, I'm going to show you a number of slides with some very interesting numbers. I think this is good for you to be aware of, because a lot of your customers, your clients, are going to be on internet dating apps and wondering, you know, I just saw a ping. I want to make sure I'm not being, I hope I've not been cut off. Let me just double check. I am still with you. Okay, good. So let me talk you through these numbers. What you're looking at here are the US dating downloads growth despite COVID-19, right? So on the left-hand sidebar, you can see revenues in the App Store in blue and revenues in green from Google Play. You'll see that the more revenues from the Apple App Store. If we go over to the right here, you can see Q1 2020, our most important point in time, because that is when we had the beginnings of COVID. And we would tend to expect that there would be a little bit more activity in this period. I think the industry was generally kind of surprised that numbers went up quite significantly in terms of activity, in terms of downloads. But how does that actually, and overall we're up a few percent in terms of ongoing downloads. But let's have a look about revenue growth. And here you can see the revenue, and you can see the industry is up quite nicely. This activity has equated to an increase, a very significant increase in revenues for the top 25, you know, the brand leading dating apps, up 24%, would you believe? So how about the top players? We've got Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Grindr, and Match. You can see Tinder's done quite well. Bumble is up 25%. Hinge is up very considerably, for a reason other than COVID, I might add. I mean, Match has leaned more on Hinge being that more serious app. But across the board, the leaders are up. Now, here's a very interesting trend. Why is this? What exactly is going on? One of the last vestiges of the dating industry is the youngsters. Where are those 22-year-olds? Where are they? Well, they're not on internet dating apps, they're in social. And so that has changed. It's changed in this time of COVID. If we look at Q1 2020, we'll see that the average age has gone down to 27.2 for people who are turning to dating apps. And that average age has been brought down because finally now the people in their early 20s are actually looking into using internet dating. There's been quite a mass shift for those numbers to look the way they do. So let's have a look at the friends making apps. I call these friends making apps. These are the more social apps. And really there's different segments of the internet dating industry. There's the traditional dating, and I'll show you a way that I like to break up the industry in a moment. But these are what you might call social discovery apps, as Yubo, Meet Me, which is video-oriented, Tag, which is also part of the Meet group, Scout, Wiz, Wink. These are all a little bit more social, a little bit more entertaining, if you like. And in short, these have been particularly successful in this period. How about chat apps? Revenues have also surged. Revenues, it's not just activity, but the revenues are up as well. And dating apps have actually kept pace with these popular chat apps. It's not just people chatting, even though they can't meet, you know, the dating apps have kept up with them. Look at Hinge, of course, is up very significantly. Plenty of Fish doing quite well, and Grindr and Match. These apps, these more traditional dating apps are up. So if you'd like to learn more about the dating industry, please do check in with Online Personals Watch. The shortcut is opw.news, and we cover the news. Now, there is some interesting news which I would like to run by you. Matchmaker.com, a very important domain, was actually acquired last year. It was actually owned by Avalanche Media for some years, and before that, Lycos. Actually, Lycos bought them back in October 2000 for $44 million. And that was, of course, with 2.6 million members and a platform, which was just, you know, an online platform at that time. Avalanche didn't really make the shift towards having a dating app And so they kind of miscued, I think, on that front. They didn't invest, they didn't have make the occasion to invest ahead of time to create a world-class dating app. And so unfortunately things fell into demise, and Matchmaker.com, they basically ended up in dispute as well as demise, and Matchmaker.com ended up in bankruptcy court. The SD bot on it was about 275 grand. There's a .net, .co as well with it, and it was sold for $150,000 to an undisclosed party. And I'm going to give you, I'd like to whisper into your ears at the end of this a little secret. I'm going to reveal to you the new owners of Matchmaker.com. So wait until the end. All right, diverse approaches. There are many very varied approaches to internet dating, many niches within the dating industry. One interesting niche is Dig Dates, and Dig, and they also have a cat app, but Dig started off with their dog lovers app. And if you think about it, this is the niche that isn't. I mean, there are so many people that like dogs or cats, and they're doing quite well now. There's BLK, which is focused on black singles. It's under Match. This is a property that's doing very well now. There's Matrimony. Matrimony is a very serious-minded dating app out of India. They also have quite a big diaspora market and couldn't be more serious. You know, in the past, I like to slice up the dating industry in terms of seriousness. Nowadays, I like to call it meaningfulness, which isn't quite the right word, but meaningful, you get the drift. eHarmony is very serious, but Matrimony is even more serious. People go on Matrimony because they are ready to get married. And that's the nature of the market in India. By the way, if you're interested in the Indian market, I actually did a vlogumentary 3 years ago about the dating market in India. It's 40 minutes, and you can find that at brogggy.com. I hope you find it amusing. brogggy.com. And then there's lifestyle apps like Field. So Field is for couples and singles. That's FEELD. And this is also, some of your clients might be on these kinds of apps. Seeking Arrangement is another kind of niche. Seeking.com is focused on what's known as the sugar niche. And this is older gentlemen generally and younger women. And yeah, it's quite controversial, but huge. One of my favorite niches is led by Modamily. And Modamily is for couples, singles that want to meet to have a baby, but not necessarily have a marriage and relationship. They want a baby, but you know, they're not necessarily, they don't really want to have the relationship that goes along with it. They want to form the bond enough for a family, but in some cases, you know, they're not really after the marriage. So the Pollen Tree has followed suit with this. And this is a fertility network for future parents and co-parents. And even another site, Hey Baby, another service, Hey Baby, is in the same niche. So it's a fascinating industry in short. One of the ways I like to divide the industry up now is not only by the level of meaningfulness, or you know, how meaningful the apps are, but also by playfulness. I think this is a very important attribute now, because it kind of points to and hints at why Tinder has been so successful. Tinder started off on campus. It was fun. You had to have Tinder on your phone to get into certain parties that they'd bought the alcohol for, basically. So if we look over on the bottom right, you've got Matrimony. Very meaningful. Not very fun, not very playful, but certainly very meaningful. And eHarmony, of course, you know, quite meaningful. And not so playful, a lot of questions to go through. Hinge is a bit more playful and also quite meaningful. It's their meaningful, it's Match Group's meaningful app. Coffee Meets Bagel, I'd say that's more playful and probably a little bit left of Hinge. And then you've got OkCupid, Tinder, Badoo being not so meaningful, but very playful. They did a good job of gamification some years ago. And Meet Me being a little bit more unique because they've got video. They're definitely branded into dating, and they help people meet, but they're super playful because they've got the video aspect. And actually you can even do something called like it's a date night. You can actually watch other people date and get a feel for the community before ever jumping in to do video. So what are the challenges before you? I think you've got a challenge with lead generation, as does most of the dating industry. I think this is always a challenge. Facebook is proving a little bit difficult to market dating or apps on. Instagram as well. In fact, I was just talking to a gentleman 2 days ago who was spending $200,000 a month on Facebook in an international market, and Facebook shut him down without any notice and without any explanation. And going from spending a couple of $1 million a year, he's not able to use that channel, which is without explanation. I mean, it's just very unusual. There are certain challenges right now before us. I think pay-per-click is the usual channel you're used to using, Google pay-per-click, but that's very competitive. You know, I'd urge you into social. I'd urge you into freemium. I'd urge you into content marketing and even influencer marketing. There's opportunities there now with second-tier influencers. There are some great platforms which you can look at, and it's certainly an area that we're moving into. The other area is reputation. I think as matchmakers scale, it's a very different kettle of fish than internet dating. People will always forgive $20 a month if they don't meet the love of their life, but they're not necessarily going to forgive you if they've put 10, 20, 50, 100 grand on the table. So these are higher echelon offerings, of course. The standards are higher. Of course, you've got the ethics agreement now with Global Love Institute. I think that's something that's important to read and get behind and sign off on. But in terms of reputation, I think it's always a challenge for everybody in the dating business, and it requires constant communication and expectation setting. Definitely a great area for us to discuss more. Fulfillment. Let's talk about fulfillment. At the end of the day, I always think the matchmaking industry is rather challenged because you have great service, but you don't always have the best in terms of the gamut of choice. And that's actually the antithesis of the internet dating industry, funnily enough. The internet dating industry has fantastic choice. We fill people's, you know, every day we give them so many options. And in fact, there's a paradox of choice for them. They have a hard time choosing because we gave them so many people. And they want, probably in many cases, they'd like service, but we don't give that. The dating industry doesn't really give anything in the way of service, which is really fascinating to observe both industries because, well, they really should partner. So Cortland Brooks, I promise you a bit of an overview of Cortland Brooks. We help internet dating and matchmaking companies grow. We do strategy and business development and marketing and thought leadership, basically. You know, one of the things we've done recently is experiment with social marketing. And my challenge that I set for myself was, is it possible to not spend any money and grow a group to 100,000 members and beyond? I didn't think that was possible, but it took me 2 years to figure out. And I actually bought behavioraleconomist.com 3 years ago. I studied behavioral science at LSE, fell in love with it actually many years ago after meeting Dan Ariely at MIT. And so he inspired me. I took the course, I bought the domain. I managed to somehow buy this domain. And then I started a group on Facebook. And I worked hard to build what I now call the triple popularity engine. I have never shown anyone like this, the mechanics of the triple popularity engine. Have a look at the membership number here. We've got 115,000 members. It took me 2 years to get to 2,000 members, and then another year to add 112,000 members, not including 7,000 members on LinkedIn. And this was all done without spending a cent, not a red cent. It took me a fair amount of time in the beginning, but then all of this runs on autopilot in terms of the content strategy. Let me tell you exactly what I do. So this is something that, you know, there are many pieces, many things that you can do to be more effective at marketing. I think social is huge, but it is terribly misunderstood. The tools are just very time consuming to use by and large. So here's the stack that I use exactly for the triple popularity engine, which is super efficient. First of all, in Feedly, there's the ability to find items, news items from a set of blogs and outlets that are both popular and recent. So we go on there, we find interesting content, and then this is the first piece, the first tool of the triple popularity engine. We find stuff that's already popular and recent. Then we run it in a tool called SmarterQ. That's smarterq.com. I love this tool. It's so much better than the other tools out there because it runs automatically. Once you load up items, it will actually load these items across the social media that you've set up, and then look for how popular it is within the context of the community. And if it is popular, it will run it again until you tell it not to. Basically, what I do is I'll set up different titles for an item and then set a time for it to cancel out, for it to expire. The third part of this engine is just capturing user-generated content and then running it back through Smarter Queue. So that's the third element of the triple popularity engine. I find things that are actually submitted to the community that are also popular, that have many likes and many comments. If they make the cut, then they go back into Smarter Queue. So my point with this is, and actually the fourth piece really is we then have an email list, and we use the community to define what makes the cut each week as the top 5 items in the weekly email. So this is an interesting content strategy because I've made this to make it super simple and run in a fairly automated basis using other people's content. And that's very effective. So as I said, we do strategy, biz dev, marketing, and thought leadership. The other thing I wanted to run by you, which I've never really shown anybody, is the amount that we do for the industry for free, right? We've had 115 clients at this stage, and every client, you know, I mean, we've had clients that go for 12 years, 6 years, 4, 3, there's quite a few 3 and 4 years, and then a lot of them are in a kind of 1 to 4 year range. And so we are at client 115 in 15 years, and this is how we do it. We do a ton of stuff for free. And I think this is inspirational to your business models as well, because these days I think you've got to do a ton of stuff for free. Exactly what I do is we have 2 associations, which you've heard about. We've got 2 news outlets, which you've heard about. We also have a little trust mark, which builds a bit more goodwill with the industry. And then we have a bunch of conferences. We've got LTR, which is online, and Trust and Safety Connect, which is coming up every quarter. And then we're doing online real worlds, very, very small, very exclusive, 20 to 30 people at a time, but absolute top tier dating industry people. We've done one in Chennai, India, one in Berlin in the offices of Spark Networks, one at Harvard Club, New York, right on the cusp of the pandemic, of course. So you know, I think it pays to double down on freemium. We're a freemium consultancy in some ways. Your business models are comparable. You have opportunities to provide free content and let people run with your content to spread the word about the good nature of your agencies. So I'm Mark Brooks. You can contact me. Then I forgot something. What was it? I was going to tell you who bought Matchmaker.com. We did. So Raina and I bought it, and we're going to do something very special with it and make you proud. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Mark? So far, no questions.
One question was, Mark, you're gonna, we could share your slides, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's a big question. You always have such chock full information, Mark. People love it. And they want to have it after the fact. So those of you who want slides for after the conference, please let us know. Thank you, Mark. That was awesome as always.
My pleasure. All right. Lovely seeing you. Good. Let me know any questions in chat and I'll jump in there as well.
Yeah. No questions asked, but I would love like slides. Can you tell us more about Smarter Queue from Kelly?
Sure. You know, I actually looked at a service called Meet Edgar, and all of these look like very comparable services. Like you look at Hootsuite. The problem with a lot of the services is they require you to think. You have to think about where to run it. You have to think about when to run it, and it only runs once. So the ROI on your time is utterly terrible. It's great for unique content that you run once, and is absolutely terrible if you're trying to be super efficient and actually drive, attention to other people. You can drive attention to other people's content, but still build your own community. Actual content creation is very costly, of course. And so the trick is on social media, it's not okay to run one post a week. It's just not going to get you where you need to be. The trick is to be prolific on a daily basis. across the board, Facebook, all of them. If you're not posting 3 times a day, then you're falling behind your competitors. And so Smarter Queue enables you to, and the trick is to find already popular and recent content. That's what Feedly does for you. Once you find other people's content, you can dial it in, you can layer your own content in as well. Then you put it into Smarter Queue, and Smarter Queue will allow you to say, I've got, in my case, I've got 25 social media accounts, and I define how to run it, how to define when to have that piece of content expire. And then most importantly, I have one line, and I've got a line which I use as my kind of clickbait, if you like. I make it a compelling line to engage people. It's very important to get people to click and comment and like and what have you. And then I'll create 3 or 4 variants. So for example, I might see something that looks like it should run for a couple of years. I can run it for up to 4 years. I'll run it for a couple of years, and I'll let Smarter Queue decide when to run it. But it will run it with my 3 or 4 lines of kind of what I've summarized, the questions that I pulled out from the content. So you can run that content ad infinitum automatically. Meet Edgar looks like exactly the same thing. I tried Meet Edgar as well, and it isn't. It just makes you work. Smarter Queue does the whole thing. Once you set it up, you set it and forget it. And that's what really makes the ROI good for your time, especially if you're coming out the gate. If you've not done it, you just want to get rolling, you can use other people's content. They'll only thank you for driving traffic to them, but you're also amassing a community. And after a while, Facebook will cotton on that you're building a nice community with very good metrics, and then you'll get the boost. And so the trick is to get on the sidebar. And I got onto the sidebar, and that's when we took off, like 12,000 new members a month for quite a while now. Quite surprising. I didn't think it would go off quite so, but it's been a year now.
Awesome. We have another question from Jaspina. Hold on, Jaspina. Let's see.
Hi.
Okay, you're up.
Can you hear me? Hey, Lisa, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Mark. Really appreciate all your insights. And my question for you is, I'm just curious, given your wide, broad, and deep knowledge of the online market, any thoughts regarding how Clubhouse, just sort of impacts the landscape?
It's there's video's done very well in this time, but video is a little tiring at times. You kind of just want to lay back and listen to the phone. I think there's an intimacy that is achieved with the phone. If I look at the behavior of people on the Meet group, what they'll typically do is they'll hang out, they'll observe, they'll see people who are willing to talk about their day, to play the guitar, to just kind of be interesting and put themselves out there, and even do dates publicly. And it's very entertaining, but there's still a majority of people. It's actually amazing how many people, I think it's like 20-30% of people that do actually do video and on platforms. Which is amazing compared to years ago. So video has evolved, but the majority of people still don't do video. What's interesting with Clubhouse is it's the same sort of, it requires so little basically of people. And then you get called in. I think you can look at any of these communities and consider, how does the real world work? And if you can take people in a baby step from where they are in the real world, bottle the real world, but improve on it slightly. And I think that's what Clubhouse does. I think it's what the Meet group does. It depends on what mood you're in. The trick with Clubhouse is they took the same trajectory as Facebook. Facebook started off on HBS campus. They had this kind of upper echelon seeding, and that resonated through the community. And that was very, very important with Clubhouse. I think there's a community per chance. So which one is it? There's a dating community I came across, which actually does voice. But the problem is it's just not that compelling. I think what Clubhouse has done is seeded, so it's very compelling. The original people set the culture. And I think you have to set a culture with any community, otherwise you lose the culture and it becomes just not that interesting. So Clubhouse got that piece right. It's very important for matchmakers to be on Clubhouse. I think it's an absolute prime territory for you.
Hey, I know that there's more questions, but we actually ran out of time. So those of you who have questions, if we have time towards the end, let's circle back. So Julie, why don't we, thank you so much, Mark, as always, amazing information. And we'll circle back if we have time, since you're always so popular. All right, Julie.
All right, next up is an icon in our industry, Violet Lim. She's probably the biggest girl in the room, not in terms of size, but in terms of influence. She and her husband, Jamie, created Lunch Actually Group. It's Asia's pioneer dating company. It's the largest dating company with regional presence in 5 different countries. That's Singapore, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, and Bangkok. Largest dating membership base. It is just awesome. Online and offline dating service platforms that they've developed. The Lunch Actually Academy is established to provide singles with dating and image consultancy. And then Peerage, which provides high-end matchmaking services for clients who are the creme de la creme of leading professionals. And I think Violet leads us all in media coverages. We're talking 2,500 media coverages in magazines, television, and radio. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your time with us, Violet Lim.
Thank you, Julie, for that, I don't know, amazing introduction. I think I have a lot to live up to after that wonderful introduction. So very happy to see all of you here tonight. I mean, for me, it's tonight. Actually, like it's 12:10 a.m. for me here. So actually, I'm getting really sleepy. I'm very thankful to the team for offering me this slot and not like an even later slot, because probably I won't be able to like talk to you then. Okay, so maybe just a quick you know, like overview of the room. Like, can I just have a show of hands? I mean, if you look at your menu bar, there's a reaction, right? So just want to see, okay, who are all the matchmakers and dating coaches and all the love professionals who are in the US? Put up your hands. There's a reaction. Okay, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think lots of people are putting up your hands. Awesome. So I think most of the room are in the US. So this is a great time for you guys, but maybe not such a good time for the rest of us. Okay, what about the ones from Asia? Anybody who's also in the Asian time zone, like put up your hands, or maybe like that's the party hat, you know, like maybe you can put on the party hat, like we try to party even though we are like trying to go to sleep. Okay, let's see. Any party hats in the room?
I love how you say party hat.
Okay, I see some party hats. Okay, awesome. You know, glad that you are in the same, like probably drinking a lot of coffee and tea to keep yourself awake. Okay, awesome. I mean, I enjoy doing like webinars, and I usually like to just keep it a bit more interactive. But I think, you know, we do have a lot of people in the room today, and that's why, you know, like maybe we're not be able to maybe do as much chats in the chat. But okay, I mean, like let's get started, and then happy to take on questions. I hope, you know, we have some time to take on some questions, or if not, you know, like definitely happy to connect with you guys over email or like Clubhouse or Instagram. Okay, I think with that, I will get started and I'll share my screen. Yeah, just give me a moment. Okay, yeah, I think you should see my screen right now. Okay, so today I'm very excited to share with you I would say a very favorite topic of mine, which is really about how do we increase leads and also how to increase our sales, because I think as much as we are all, of course, very passionate about helping singles find love, but I think ultimately I always tell people we are running a business here. It's not a non-profit, so we do need to, you know, like bring in money. We do need to have leads and of course to generate sales as well. So today I'll be talking about one of my favorite topics, of course, you know, on marketing. Okay, so very quickly about my personal background. I of course, you know, like most of you, I didn't have a childhood dream to become a matchmaker. In fact, you know, being an only child, being Asian, I've been groomed by my parents to study hard, get good grades, get a good job, and being the obedient child that I am, that's exactly what I did. So what led me into this profession? So while working in the bank, I saw that a lot of my colleagues were single and not dating. So I was quite curious, why is that so? Because like bankers being bankers, usually they are very eligible, attractive. But I realized that they are working very long hours as well. And this was of course 17 years ago, and there are no like apps like all the apps that Mark has just talked about just now. So I realized if you kind of miss the opportunity of meeting someone at school or at university, it gets increasingly more difficult. So I saw an opportunity there, and then I also saw a way to solve that problem. So that was really the pull factor. The push factor, the truth was I was getting increasingly disenchanted with my job. I just couldn't find the meaning of like just constantly paper pushing, like I was like just processing like all this paperwork. So that was the reason why 17 years ago, that time I was 24 years old, decided to quit my job and started lunch actually with my then boyfriend, now husband, Jamie. Okay, so I think, just a very quick overview, but I think, of course, our wonderful MC for tonight, Julie, has done an amazing job introducing me. So I think I don't need to go into so much more details on that. So right now, we are in Singapore, we are in Malaysia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and Thailand as well. So we have a regional footprint. And I think, Julie has mentioned just now, we have arranged many dates. We also do coaching. We also arrange dating events as well. So all in all, we have quite a number of different brands, which Julie have mentioned just now as well. So these are our locations. Okay, so our startup story, like we started in Singapore, and that time it was just like Jamie and I, and then we had one employee. So it was kind of like two of us plus one more person. So I think we were very intentional about it, because when we first started the business, we knew that we wanted to make sure that we are working on the business and not in the business. And that's the reason why even from day one, we already have an employee. And eventually we grew the team to, I think the highest number that we had was about 110. And currently we are at about 70 to 80 people. So we started with one service, which is lunch dating, very much one-to-one, very personalized, very customized. And the first 6 years of our business, honestly, it was very stagnant. And in fact, it took us very, very long to hit our first 7 digit. Okay, so I'm not sure if you are familiar with this organization called Entrepreneurs Organization. So it actually started in US, and it has many chapters, and it has a chapter in Singapore as well. So I've known about EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, for a long time. In fact, I knew about it from day one when we started the business, and it has always been like my dream to join EO. However, to join EO, you need to be a US $1 million business. So it just took us forever to actually get there. However, once we hit that, we grew very quickly, and today, I really want to be sharing with you how we actually grew our business, from where we first started, like in the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, and eventually into the millions. So how do we do it? These are some of the things that we did, so we call like 7 pillars of how we like 10 times our business. So, and I mean, there are many different things. However, I'm only given about 45 minutes today. So unfortunately, I'm not able to cover every single pillar here. But I'll be focusing on like one of them, which is marketing and PR. So, however, I think, I'll just go through briefly on what these pillars are. So number one, I think is mindset. So I think first and foremost, it's very important to know your why, like why you're doing this business. And I mean, one great book that I would like to recommend is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. So I think you need to know, why you're doing this, where you want to be going. So for example, for us from day one, we knew that we weren't going to be like one shop kind of operation. We knew from day one that we will be expanding out of Singapore. The reason for that is because Singapore is very small. I'm not sure if you know, actually Singapore has less than 6 million people. So like it's super tiny. And at the same time, we are in a very niche industry as well. So we think that, if we really want to make it so-called like, into a so-called bigger business, we definitely need to expand out of Singapore. So from day one, it was something that we already knew. So I think the mindset is definitely very important. And secondly, the business model. So again, you know, there are many different models when it comes to the matchmaking or even the dating industry. And I believe, you know, those of you who have attended the course that Rachel is running, she would have covered, you know, all the different business models as well. So I think it's very important to choose the right business model in order to expand your business. And of course, third, you know, like after you have the right mindset, you have decided on the business model, but you need to drive leads, you know, which is actually the focus for my presentation for today. And after driving leads, you know, like having all these wonderful leads, of course, then you need to make sales, right? So one of the things that we have done very successfully is having a very strong and efficient, I would say, sales pipeline management. So in fact, you know, like we know at every single juncture, like what is the conversion rate, and we just make it into, I would say, very narrow. Like, so at every step, we know exactly what is the conversion rate, and you know, like once something is not working out, we know where to target on as well. And of course, you know, after you have started to build the business to a certain level, then there is a team to manage. So that was definitely something that I initially struggled with, because I think if you have been listening so far, I started a business when I was 24 years old. That means like anybody that I hire at that point would be older than me. So how do you then, you know, attract the best talent? How do you retain them? How do you make sure that they are not burnt out? So I think Lisa was actually mentioning just now as well, one of the challenges in our industry is, of course, you know, dealing with some of our clients, you know, like that might not be so easy to deal with as well. So as a result, sometimes the burnout, you know, can be quite high. So how do we ensure that we are able to keep some of these like amazing people that we have recruited and they don't get burned out because they are like being scolded by some of these clients and things like that? Tracking and KPIs. So like I mentioned, you know, like this is definitely a business. So it's important to be tracking the matrix, be it for like marketing, be it for like sales. So this is something that we have done. I would say that once we have done this more successfully, that's also when I see that the business, you know, really start to go up. And of course, last but not least, like finding your secret sauce. So this is also something that I'll talk a bit about for today. Okay, so so like I mentioned, you know, today's focus will really be very much on marketing and PR. So I think, you know, like what Julie has mentioned just now, we have been very blessed. We definitely have been covered in quite a number of PR since we started the business. So actually the numbers now is about like 4,500 media coverages. Be it locally and internationally. And the joke that I usually say to people, I say that if it has been your childhood dream to appear on media, join the dating industry, because it's like, even if, you know, like you won't get like tens or hundreds or thousands, you would at least get one. So you know, like I think with that, I also just want to do a quick audit of the room right now, right? Like maybe you can put up your hands if you have been covered in the media. Like just put up your hands, like, you know, like that little button there, or you can just put up your hands physically, or like there's actually a little button. Okay, I'm just like scrolling through. Okay, I see quite a number of you have put up your hands. Okay, awesome. Actually, I think quite a number of the room has been covered by media, and I think you guys can look around as well. So I think, you know, this is quite unusual for our industry, because I think a lot of the other industries out there, if you ask the room, okay, how many of you have been covered in the media, like it probably would be like a minority of the people. But I think one of the special thing in our industry is really like if you are in the dating and matchmaking industry and you have not been covered by the media at least once, then something is not right, because definitely, you know, it is not difficult to get covered. So I'll be sharing with you, you know, some of the things that we have done. Okay, so PR should not be like a by the way thing. It should not be like, oh, you know, like if I have time, I'll think about it. It should be a very conscious decision, a very deliberate form of marketing, especially in our industry, because I always feel that we do not want to just keep saying that we are good, because when you're doing marketing, basically you are saying that you are good. But if you are having PR, it's basically credibility. It's someone else saying that you are good. And of course, you know, like PR also help to build up the brand. And the stronger your brand is, the lower your acquisition cost will be. So, like compared to our competitors, like more or less, of course, we do a lot of market research. We also have a gauge of like how much people are spending on their marketing. So we spend a lot lesser than our competitors because, we have so many organic searches. We have so many organic leads coming in because of the sheer amount of PR that we have been featured in. So I think when you're thinking about your marketing and PR strategy, it really should be a balance of branding efforts, performance marketing. So what we mean by performance marketing would be, I think just now Mark was saying, someone was putting out ads in Facebook or, like ads in Google. So those are performance marketing. So I also know of some companies, because they have not invested enough time and effort or resources on really building up their brand, they end up having to spend a lot of money on performance marketing because that is the only thing that is driving in leads. And once they sort of turn off the tap, they turn off the tap on spending marketing dollar, then they don't have leads coming in, and that can be very scary. And of course, you have organic marketing and there's content marketing as well. Okay. So I just want to share like some of the things that we have done, to get all these various media coverages. So why PR? So I have mentioned just now, credibility is definitely one of them, and of course you want to change perception as well. Like I think a lot of people sometimes they still have a certain perception of what our industry is about. So by appearing on PR, especially like big names, media, that will help to change the perception. And of course, when you appear on a lot of PR, you're going to then become the top of mind. So like one of the proudest thing I would say, for me, it's like usually like when we I meet someone new, like say in Singapore, and then like we'll just be talking, and then people will be like, oh, so what do you do? And then I'll be like, oh, like I'm in the I run a dating service. And then they'll be like, oh, like lunch actually. So I'm like, oh wow, okay, because they'll be like, oh, we are lunch actually. So I think by just appearing on a lot of media, you will then become like the top of mind brand. And of course, like appearing on media will make you the industry expert. Of course, there'll be word of mouth as well. And with all of this, ultimately, one of the main objectives, of course, is to increase your leads and also increase your revenues. Some case studies, some creative angles for you to actually try out, for you to build your brand. So one of the things that we usually do whenever we enter a new market is to, go on like the first to pioneer something, the first to launch something, because at the end of the day, people are always, the media is always interested in the pioneer. Like, when we first launched lunch dating, when we first launched a date coaching service, when we first launched like the first online matchmaking platform. So this is definitely something that the media will be very interested to pick up. Another thing to consider is survey findings. So like I say, media is always very interested in love, dating, relationships. And I think another great thing about being in this industry is like, unlike like being in the financial industry or like the real estate industry, where they would actually ask you like, who actually did this survey, like they will actually expect like you use like a professional firm like AC Nielsen, where you have to pay like, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars to actually do a survey. But if you're in the dating and matchmaking industry, like they are quite happy to publish your survey results, because it's something that's very lifestyle, something that's very fun. So this is something that we have been doing on a regular basis. So we actually do it on an annual basis. And because we have done it so frequently, we are able to compare results from year to year as well. And again, that is something that the media would be very interested in. Okay, so another thing that you can look into is, of course, like seeing what would be interesting for people in that country. So when we first launched into the Hong Kong market, we realized that Hong Kong, they are very into celebrities. So what we did was that we worked together with a celebrity. I mean, of course, like we are not like a big brand, like Coca-Cola or like Apple or Facebook or something, where they have a lot of money to maybe hire like a A-lister. So we couldn't afford like a A-lister, but we went with someone who is like maybe up and coming. So we worked with this lady, and in fact it's quite interesting. Like, you would think that maybe to work with a celebrity is very, very expensive, but actually there are different ways to go about it. So what we did here is we are actually just booking like 2 hours of her time. like one hour for the date, where she went on a date that we have chosen for her, and the other hour for the press conference. So in that sense, the spending is not as high as people might think it is. However, I think we hit it on the jackpot. I mean, of course, every time we do a match, we always do our best, but we cannot guarantee the outcome. But in this case, they actually ended up dating, they ended up getting married, and they ended up having kids. So in Hong Kong, for quite a long time, we are known as the company that actually found this celebrity, her husband. And I think the other thing that was really very great for us was that, like I mentioned, when we first engaged her, she was not like like a A-lister, but subsequently she actually became quite popular, so that really worked in our favor as well. Another thing, like to look at is really riding on the hottest trend. So, this is like a couple of years ago when Pokemon Go was just launched. And when it was launched, I really caught up into this hype and this wave. And in fact, I was, like catching Pokemon with my kids. And then like Jamie was actually, poor Jamie was like just driving us around the island, to catch Pokemons. And so during that weekend, I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, like if I'm so caught up in this, I'm sure a lot of people are caught up in this as well. And that was when I came up with the idea of like Dating Go, which is like, bringing singles together to catch Pokemon. So my team, was very fast as well. So, like I told them, okay, this is the idea, and then we are going to launch it. And then within the weekend, we came up with all the marketing collaterals, we came up with the angle, we came up with the press release, and then we pitched it. So it was widely covered as well. So it was covered in on TV, it was covered in newspaper, and it was covered across different countries because we did it at the same time. And another thing that was very interesting about this is because usually when we put up anything on Facebook, like usually people don't tag their friends because people are quite shy about it. So this was the first time ever, like, we put up something and people were just tagging their friends like crazy, because like the focus then became not so much about just dating, but it's really about the whole hype around Pokemon as well. So this was something that has worked out very well as well. Be a content creator. So I think content creation now is a big thing. So like by offering to become like a newspaper or magazine columnist. So in fact, I think a lot of times they are always looking for someone to maybe share different point of views, and you can always just write to them and say that you are happy to contribute, and sometimes you might even get paid for it as well. So definitely you never know unless you try. And also to share with you the first time I got on a radio show, which was, I mean, like many years ago, like when we first started. So how I got onto that first radio show was that a friend of mine said that, hey, Violet, I heard that, they are going to be talking about matchmaking sometime next week. Then my friend was just kind of like, oh, why don't you, like try and get onto the show? And I think my friend wasn't too serious, but probably just, like a by the way thing. And I was just thinking to myself like, oh, why not? So I actually just find out who the producer is, and then I just write to the producer and say, oh, I saw that you're doing this show. I just want to introduce myself. I'm who and who, this is what I'm doing, and if you think it's suitable, I'm more than happy to come on to share my views. And and she actually replied and she said, yes, I'm very happy to have you. and that was how I got onto my first radio show. And I think the biggest reward from the entire experience wasn't so much about getting onto that radio show, but actually was meeting my mentor. And I mean, since then, she has been mentoring me, for the last 16 years in my entrepreneurship journey. So I think, another advice I really want to be giving everybody here is just like be really thick-skinned, because I think at the end of the day, what is the worst thing that can happen? They will just say no, and that's it, right? So just go for it. And of course, like when you're a content creator, you get onto like newspaper, magazine, or like TV or radio, you're really leveraging on all these networks like audience, and it helps to increase your brand credibility. So like last year, I was actually featured as the love guru on a TLC show, and currently I'm also a regular like on a radio station, like the top English radio station here in Singapore, as a love expert as well. So I think all of these things, it's free. I mean, of course it takes up a bit of our time, but it really helps to build your brand and like provide more leads for you as well. And of course, the other thing is like partnerships and collaborations. Like dating is hot, and people always thinking of ways to like get their brand to be more interesting. So for example, one of the things that we did was like shoe dating. So this was actually a campaign that was Ogilvy actually came up with. So they came to us, you know, they partner us with a shoe shop. And honestly, shoe dating doesn't work because men and women are looking for very different types of shoes. But in terms of PR, it was crazy. Like I appeared on media, which I don't even understand the language in, because you know, like we are on like Google alerts, right? And then I see our brand name. I'm like, okay, which country is this? So partnerships and collaborations is great. I'll talk a bit more about what is one of the recent partnership and collaboration that we have done as well subsequently. So these are some of the brands that we have worked with, like a lot of big brands, because again, like once you have built yourself as the expert, like they want to leverage on you as well. Because you know, for example, like let's say you're selling, I don't know, you're selling a cup, or you're selling a phone, or you're selling a car. Like after a while, they run out of things to talk about. But when they partner with like, you know, someone like a matchmaker, someone like a dating agency, then, you know, it can spin off a lot of news stories. So just to give you some example, so like Jetstar is actually airline here in Asia, a budget airline. So we partner with them because they were launching a new destination. So they were launching a new destination to China at that point, and then they partner with us, and then we arrange for like a singles trip. You know, like flying on Jetstar. So that was something we did. And then for Mini, so what we did with Mini was that they wanted to, you know, of course, promote their cars. So instead of doing speed dating, we actually did what we call mini dating. So like the dates actually swap at every of the pit stop. So that was something that was really interesting as well. And of course, TLC, like I mentioned, you know, they produced a show called Travel for Love, and then they invited me to be the love guru to really, you know, like watch the dates and then give commentaries on that as well. Okay. So I think very important, like PR is definitely your best friend, especially in the dating industry, because like I say, like you shouldn't have any problem at least getting, you know, like a couple of PR. And I think really leveraging on that and building up your brand so that people will you know, come back to you more. And I think, you know, another tip is to be prompt, be quotable. So one of the things that my team, you know, like they always like kind of grumble off in the past is that they'll be like, oh, Violet, you know, we are very busy, you know, why are this media, they always want things so quickly, you know, I'm so busy, how am I supposed to give them, you know, these numbers or give them this by like today? And then I'll just kind of tell them, I say, guys, that's why it's called news and it's not called O, right? Okay, like it need to be now, right? If not, then it's not going to be interesting anymore. And I mean, of course, now my team gets it. So I mean, just remember, like when they approach you, chances are they're approaching like a lot of other people as well. So of course, you know, the person that's going to get back to them the fastest, like you are going to tend to be, you know, more likely to be featured, and of course to be quotable as well. I mean, sometimes people just give very boring or very like politically correct kind of replies. So again, like if everybody is going to give such replies, like you're just not going to be like the person who's going to be like the key feature. So something to think about. I mean, just think about it from a reader perspective. Like let's say you're someone who's reading the article, what sort of things would actually draw your attention? What would actually attract you? So think about it from that perspective. Of course, build your thought leadership, like you know, always have an opinion, and yes, create interesting angles and stories to build a brand. I think I've talked about that. So just some other quick maybe tips and advice on PR as well. So one of the things that I usually do, like whenever I get invited on radio or TV, like I tend not to like talk about my brand at all. Like, you know, I wouldn't say like, oh, you know, like at lunch actually we do this, you know, like at lunch actually we do that, which sometimes if you work with PR companies, that's what they will always tell you to do. They'll be like, oh, you know, at every juncture, just try to put in your brand's name, talk about your company. And again, like just put yourself in a perspective of the viewers or the perspective of the person interviewing you, because like the person who brought you onto the show, they are not here to help you to do free advertisement. They brought you on the show is because they want to hear your thought leadership, they want to hear your advice, they want you to give value to their listeners or their viewers. So if you're going to go on there and think it's like, oh, this is like a free advertisement slot, like it's going to majorly annoy them, and you can be very sure they're not going to bring you back ever again. So I think, because I'm like one of the people who just never even talk about my brand, like sometimes I think maybe they feel bad about it and they constantly talk about my brand. I don't know. And as a result of that, like people will just keep bringing you back because they know that you are really going to maximize like every single minute, every single second that you're there to really give value to their viewers and their listeners. Okay, and okay, so I just wanted to share like some of the things that we do as well. So these are actually some of our EDMs, electronic direct mailers. This is a great way to constantly keep in touch with your leads, and of course to bring them back into warm leads as well. Like okay, so why EDM? So EDM stands for electronic direct mailers. So actually EDMs is great. Like EDM, if you do it well, it can consist of 25 to 30%, or even for some companies like 40 or even 50% of your sales can just come from EDM, because like EDM is just a great way to nurture leads. So for example, like you can build different drips, like when people join, like you can start sending them like maybe the first email to introduce what you do, like one day later send something else, to share like maybe a testimonial, one day later share something else. So you are actually nurturing the leads, and it's on automation anyway. So once you build it, it's just there. It provides value, because ultimately if I'm a client or interested client, I just want to know like, okay, are you really able to service me? Why should I join you as compared to like someone else? And again, like through whatever content that you provide, it also establish your authority as well. What I would like to suggest is like what we call a 3+1 rule. So like don't constantly just send out marketing or like what do you call it, like things to ask them to buy stuff, because like I'm sure we are on some EDM lists as well, and I think those that just every single EDM is just asking me to buy stuff, I'll just unsubscribe because I'm not getting any value. But if you are doing like 3+1, meaning after 3 great EDMs where you're providing great value, then you have one that actually has a call to action to buy stuff, then they will be like, oh, why not? I already know that this person provides value, and like I'm willing to explore or find out more. In terms of like numbers that you might want to be looking at, you should be looking at about 15 to 20% open rate. So that means, when the email comes in the mailbox, people actually open that email. And after they read your email, it should be at least 1% click rate. So how do you make sure that your EDMs are working? So something to look at is what we call A/B testing. So just have 2 different things, but don't change everything. Like you want to be testing, okay, does this title work? Which title works better? Or like like which copy works better? Or which call to action button works better? What color works better? So don't have too many permutations when you're testing A/B testing. You just want to be working with one permutation at one time. I think if this is something that you are not familiar with, there are actually a lot of different courses out there, or in fact you might even be able to outsource it or work with people that that have a better knowledge of this. But I would say this is definitely one of the things that you should look at if you have not already looked at. Okay, another thing that has worked very well for us is webinars. So webinars is something that we have kind of stumbled upon, interestingly, because of COVID. And during COVID, because okay, I'm just trying to find my clock. My clock seems to have disappeared, like trying to see how much more time I have. Okay, so because of COVID, we were thinking, how do we continue to engage our audience? Like how do we keep in touch with them? Because we know, people are just stuck at home having nothing to do. And that was the reason why we decided to really pump up on our webinars. And in fact, before that, we have never done webinars. And we did so many webinars. It was crazy. I think like just in 2020, we did more than 40 webinars. And on your screen right now, you can see some of the topics that we have done. And our webinars have been great in like really generating new leads or just getting back old leads that, you know, might have lost interest, who are no longer as hot, but because of the webinars, you know, like they came back. Okay, let me just show you more. So yeah, these are just some of the other topics. So we just did a lot of things. Like some of it, you know, we did it with our coaches, our in-house coaches. Some of it we did it with like external experts, you know, like so the one here you can see very happy. We had Lisa, you know, with us. We have Paul who came on as well. And then some of it we actually bring on celebrities. So for example, the one over here, like Sharon Au is actually a celebrity in Singapore. So just a lot of different things that we did. So why webinars? Like again, of course, it establishes you as an expert. It increased engagement and stickiness. So in the early days, not early days, I mean during COVID, the height of COVID, like we actually had 700 people attending our webinar, like at one time. So of course, you know, like after the lockdown, you know, people have things to do again in their life. Then, you know, not as many people attend, but even with that, we still get between 200 to 300 people every single time we do a webinar. So, you know, it helps to build up community. I always thought to myself that it's not possible to build up a community for our industry, because in a way, if you just kind of put everybody together, then they don't need you anymore, right? Because if they are just all in the same room, they can talk to each other, then why do they even still need you as the matchmaker? That's one. The other part of it is that my concern is that people will just feel very conscious, because, you know, like they might not feel comfortable like what we are doing right now, where everybody's just kind of showing their face. And so Zoom is just amazing because it solved all of these problems for me. So we do it on Zoom webinar mode, where people don't need to show their face. You know, they don't they can't speak as well. And then when they're actually messaging each other, they don't message each other, they only message me, and I just kind of like read out what has been read. So it's very interesting. Like I mean, if you have not attended our webinar before, you know, I welcome you to join us, because I think all the people who have attended our webinars, that means speakers, special speakers that I've invited to come on, they are very impressed by how engaged and how positive our community is, despite the community not talking to each other, but, you know, just talking through us. And of course, you know, like I mentioned just now, you can tap on others' network and star power. So when we bring on celebrities, when we bring on external speakers, we can actually tap on their reach as well. And I think webinar is really a matter of like giving first and reap later. So our webinar is really very content packed. It's like 1 hour, but we just give out so much content. And then subsequently, we also offer the recording as well to our listeners. So I think with that, people are also very keen and open to refer their friends to come listen to our webinars as well. Another recent thing that we did is live streaming. Yes. So I think, you know, like live streaming has started to get quite popular, and then we have this opportunity of doing a live streaming on a popular e-commerce platform here in Asia. So it's actually called Lazada. And when they came to us, you know, like, and then we brainstormed, and at the end we decided to do a matchmaking show. So it was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And I think, you know, it was really a very wonderful opportunity to be able to reach again like a new audience that might not have heard about us. So we did 4 episodes in total, and every episode went up to at least 6,000 or more views, and the highest episode had more than 18,000 views. Okay, so why live streaming? So I think same thing, you know, like if you have the opportunity to do live streaming on someone else's platform, it's really like, again, tapping on their network and their reach. And in our case, because our brand is already quite known in maybe for singles who are, or like people in their 30s and up, or maybe mid 30s and up, but it might not be as well known to maybe the younger crowd. So, you know, like with e-commerce, obviously the crowd is younger, so it gives us the opportunity to have that exposure to a younger crowd. And it also gives us the experiment of selling goods, you know, over live streaming and also selling digital goods as well. So from this, like then we are looking at how to then do some of these other things in-house. So it was definitely a very, very good experience. Yes, so I think Jasmina asked about Clubhouse just now. Okay, so definitely Clubhouse is like the hottest thing right now. And if you are not already on Clubhouse, you need to be on Clubhouse. And like what Mark said, like definitely, like Clubhouse is great for matchmakers. A couple of things. I would say that okay, now Clubhouse is only available for people who's on iPhone. However, like because of FOMO and people are just so excited about it, right? I have friends who have just purchased iPhones just to be on Clubhouse. But if you do not want to do that, if you do have an iPad, you can go on Clubhouse as well. So I just want to show you like some of the things that's here on Clubhouse. So things that you can do, like I think you can now create clubs. So as long as you have started to become a bit active, you can actually create clubs. So on the right, you'll see that these are all the clubs right now. If I just type in dating, okay, and you can see some of these clubs have like tons of followers, like this one, dating after pandemic, 10.4 followers, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so okay, let me just go to this. Why Clubhouse? Okay, so first mover advantage. So you really can grow your followers very quickly. I mean, I've been on Clubhouse for probably less than a month. My followers are already more than my followers on Instagram, which I have been on for years. So definitely this is something that you want to be on. And I think for people who have domain knowledge, which we do, Clubhouse is a great platform because Clubhouse is like people go there to like, learn about new things, to listen to new things. So if they see that, okay, you're a matchmaker, you have been in this industry for a while, definitely they want to hear more. And there's so many different rooms to try out. Like you can do panels. So for example, like some of us here, we can just all get together and say, hey, like let's host a room on like, I don't know, like why nice men always finish last, ? For example, and then we'll talk about it, and then people will come in and like share their views. So that's one way, or ask their question. And another thing that has been very popular is like shoot your shot rooms. So like Mark has mentioned just now, these rooms are basically really matchmaking in real time. Like, so people would just go into the room and then they'll read the profiles of people in the room, and then like they will say that, oh, okay, I'm interested to meet Rachel, for example. And then, like then they will bring Rachel on stage, and then they will interview both of them or give both of them a chance to introduce themselves. And then they will say, okay, so do you guys want to slide into each other DM, something like that. And then they will be like, oh, so a match is made. So shoot your short room, very popular. And of course, there's always like the advice giving. You can always, say, ask a matchmaker or ask a dating coach and, answer questions. So I mean, Clubhouse, I think, is an amazing way to really generate more leads. So if you have not already done it, you are not already on it, do look into it. Okay, so if you remember, I say 7 points. So another point that I just want to talk about before I end, it's what is your secret sauce? Because, if you say that your secret sauce is like, I'm just going to be giving you better and more personable service, I'm just going to be friendlier to you than my competitor, it's just going to, you continue just to be a lifestyle and small business. I mean, of course, if that is your objective, it's fine, no problem with that. However, I think if you want to build your business, you want to 10x your revenues, it's important to have a secret sauce that has a leverage, leverage that will actually create a bigger business. So that's really something that you need to think about, because there are matchmaking companies that have scaled into big organizations. Okay, so like what are the secret sauce that actually help these companies to grow to the size where it is right now, when, like maybe 99% of most matchmakers have failed. So I think with that, I just want to very quickly share with you that I actually do run a 10 times revenue multiplier program. If you are interested in this program, like it covers, the 7 pillars of the 10 times revenue multiplier program I've talked about. And, there will be one-to-one business coaching sessions. And I'm also very happy to share with you some of these scripts, these marketing templates, cheat sheets that I've, worked on in the last 17 years as well. So if you're interested in any of this, I think Corey is the person that you want to talk to. She'll be able to tell you a bit more, like how much does it cost, when you can get started. And I think with that, I have come to the end of my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. And of course, like I say, happy to continue the conversation on email. And feel free to follow me on Clubhouse, Instagram, and Facebook. So it's all on the same handle, which is Violet Lim. And also just want to close with this quote that I really love, which is obviously from Apple. So I think the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So I believe that we are all, like that bunch of crazy people. I always enjoy the energy in the room whenever I'm with you guys. So let's change the world together. And with that, I'll pass the time back to our wonderful MC, Julie. Julie, you're mute.
Mute. Thank you so much, Violet. Absolutely mind-boggling. And the thing I want to say to everybody is that don't allow yourself to be like totally freaked out because you haven't done as much as Violet has. Nobody has, okay? So what you do is you take these little bits and pieces that you're hearing from all of these fabulous presenters and you make notes about things you might want to explore, but don't get lost in this whole notion that you have to do everything that everybody else is doing. You'll create your version of matchmaking and dating coaching. I'm so excited about our next presenter. She's like a staple. She's like one of our founding presenters at all of Lisa's conferences. Her name is Dr. Terri Orbuch, and she's a relationship expert. She's a speaker. She's an author. You may have seen her books, Finding Love Again, 5 Simple Steps to Take Your Marriage from Good to Great, Thrice Told Tales, married couples telling their stories. She's a columnist, a therapist, and a trusted relationship expert, certainly somebody that we as professional matchmakers and dating coaches trust completely. You may have seen her radio program, The Love Doctor, is in. She has a PhD in social psychology. She worked with Our Time for 8 years, which gives her all of that direct experience in our industry. And she was a project director of the Early Years of Marriage Project, research professor in sociology with the University of Michigan. Welcome to the program, Terri Orbuch.
Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Julie, for that wonderful introduction. Can everyone hear me, by the way? Yes? Okay, great.
Yes.
And I'm going to start my slides as well. Hello. And I see so many wonderful familiar faces on the Zoom squares and the names. So hello, everybody. But for those of you who are not familiar with me, I just want to give you a little bit more information about me and my background so you know where I'm coming from. And Julie, you did a wonderful job, but I'm just going to add to it. I am not a matchmaker. I am a psychologist, as Julie said. I'm also a marriage and family therapist, a date and relationship coach, a research scientist, a professor, and a love doctor in the media. I am originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota in the United States, and I came from a very therapy-oriented household. So you'll know that I was really bleeding psychology and relationships from a very young age. My father is a psychiatrist, my mother is a therapist, my sister is a therapist, and my brother's in healthcare. I'm now outside of Detroit, Michigan. That's where I'm located in the United States now. So I'm really a Midwestern gal through and through. I've been married for 28 years and I have 2 adult children who also are studying to be psychologists and therapists. So again, it's all around me. And by the way, my husband is not in counseling, although he says he should be a counselor or psychologist by now after 28 years. I am also the director, as Julie mentioned, of a long-term research project funded by the National Institutes of Health, which is the federal granting agency of research funds in the United States. And I have been following the same 373 couples now for over 30 years. And when couples get divorced, I continue to follow the individuals. So I like to say now, by the way, that 46% of the couples have divorced. So I like to say now that I've been following 746 individuals now for almost 32 years, half of whom, or about half of whom, are still married to one another, and a half of whom are no longer married to one another. The couples come from diverse backgrounds, and as I said, they're all married in 1986. And the divorce rate is 46% among my couples in my study. And when you look at the divorce rates in the United States, in 2020, the divorce rates were 45% in the United States. So it's very comparable to national divorce rates, at least in the United States. All of the couples, all of the individuals, singles are interviewed in their homes, about 2,000 questions. It is the largest study of its kind in the United States. And I like to say now that I've been able to glean, and it's a large, huge study, scientific strategies to find love and to keep love. I should also mention that next week, March 17th, I'm submitting another grant to the National Institutes of Health to collect data in the 34th year of these couples and singles lives. So hopefully the federal government will grant another study so that we can continue this study. And I hope to continue it until many, many, many years. I like to say that I'm gray until I'm gray, but you might not want to look at my my hair right now. Okay, so I know, by the way, that 2020 has been a very challenging year for all of us. The pandemic has and continues to be very difficult. But what I believe is one of the most valuable lessons, and there are many lessons I think that we've all learned, is that science has been the key to unlocking our health and our individual well-being. I think we've learned to trust science. We've learned to look to science for answers, and we've learned to count on science. So today, what I'd like to do, what I'd like to talk about in the remaining minutes that I have, is how science is also the key to unlocking relationship success for your clients, whether you're a matchmaker, a love coach, or a relationship expert. Science has so many benefits for you. And let's talk about then some of those benefits. First, I think science gives you new, exciting ways to help your clients. And again, whether you're a matchmaker, a love coach, or a relationship expert, science, there's so much research and good science out there. And science continues to develop. It continues to expand. So even when you think you know all the science and the research out there, it changes and it evolves. Also, when you can use science, you're using research and facts, not common sense, intuition, personal experiences, or theories. And although I think these are very important, I use them as well. But when you have research to support your common sense notions or your intuition or your personal experiences, there's just greater likelihood of success with your clients. Also, when you have science or research support, it's based on many people, many diverse people. And because of that, as long as you have good science, again, you'll have greater likelihood of success. Studies also show that when you use science in your matchmaking and your coaching, and when you're talking as a relationship expert, you can market your advice to both men and women. We know, psychology shows, that science is very attractive to men especially, that men like, in general, statistics and science and research. Also, I think science provides you with a step-by-step guide on how to give advice, coach, and match clients. It gives you the procedure. It gives you the steps to use so that you can have success with your clients at the end. So what I'm going to do now is take 3 findings that are in research that are based on science and show you how you might use them in your matchmaking, in your coaching, or in your relationship expert advice. The first finding is the number one predictor of finding love when we look at research. And that is when individuals are able to let go of heavy emotional baggage, they're significantly more likely to find love. Now, we know that we all have some emotional baggage, and emotional baggage is any strong emotion connected to the past, either positive or negative. So I can still be angry at an ex-spouse or angry that a previous relationship no longer is there, frustrated, upset, or I can still be pining away for someone. I can long for someone, and that would be positive, strong emotion connected to a previous relationship. As long as that emotion is still strong, still heavy, I'm still thinking about the past. I'm still in the past, and I'm not able to move forward and start a new happy, healthy relationship in the future. And in my study, my long-term study, the Early Years of Marriage Project, individuals who said, I don't feel much of anything for my ex, meaning I feel neutral, I don't feel positive, I don't feel negative, I don't feel very positive or very negative, we're almost 2 times more likely to find love and also to find a happy, healthy relationship. So again, individuals who said, I don't have heavy emotional baggage, were significantly more likely to find love again. Now, there are many strategies that you can use based on science to help your clients let go of the past, let go of the heavy emotional baggage. But I want to share my favorite that's definitely connected to science and based on science. Now, when individuals experience a relationship breakup or a divorce, we ask the question of why. Why did it end? And we come up with what I call a blame statement. My relationship ended because of X. However, when you blame the partner, when you say they had an affair, they weren't emotionally mature, they weren't compatible, they didn't want to work on the relationship, you hold on to the anger and the frustration. And you can even hear it in my voice when I come up with that blame statement. Why did my relationship end? Because they weren't right, or they weren't communicative, or they weren't emotionally mature. You can hear that anger in my voice. And so you hold on to that anger. When you blame yourself, like I wasn't mature, I wasn't ready, I didn't want to trust anyone, you hold on to the sadness, you hold on to the desire to be different. And so when you hold on to those emotions, you can't let go of the past. However, when you can blame the relationship itself, when you can do what psychologists call an interpersonal blame statement, you say, we were really young. My relationship didn't work because we just weren't compatible. We were so different. We were too young at the time. Then you can let go of the emotion. You can let go of the past, the strong emotional baggage connected to the past, and you can move forward. So as matchmakers, as coaches and relationship experts, one of the ways to help your clients based on science is to help them form and develop those interpersonal blame statements. The second finding that I'd like to talk about today that's based on science is that the number one predictor of happy, healthy relationships going forward is that couples have similarity in key life values. And key life values are the parts of life or the self, what you think are really important. So key life values are the parts of life that your clients think are really important to them. And when you can help your clients identify their key life values, those things that are really important to them, that are key to who they see themselves as, then it helps them find the right person. Because again, studies show that similarity between partners and underlying values and attitudes is key. So helping your clients identify their own key life values, as well as then helping them discover that similarity with them and people they're dating and form long-term relationships with is key to happiness and stability of those relationships over time. Now, I know that many of your clients come to you and say, I want someone who has the same interests. I want someone who plays golf. I want someone who loves romantic movies. Science shows, though, that similarity in interests and hobbies does not predict happy, healthy relationships long term. So although your clients may want someone who has similarity in interests or hobbies, that is not a predictor of long-term happy relationships when we look at science. It's really, again, these key life values. Now, when we look at key life values, it turns out that there are 5 top key life values. There are many key life values, more than 5, but there are 5 top key life values. And those top key life values are beliefs about money and finances, beliefs about family and children, the role of faith, spirituality, or religion, beliefs about job or career, and beliefs about health and fitness. So what you want to do, given science, is to help your clients look at these 5 top key life values, the content within each of those key life values, and then help them discover or prioritize their top 2 important key life values. Those are the key life values that are important to them. And those are the key life values that then you as a matchmaker or you as a coach want to help them look for a partner who has the same top 2 key life values. Now, science shows, psychology shows that key life values can change over time. They're not static, they're not fixed. As people have different experiences, as they go through different life stages, or they even experience traumatic events in their life, the top key life values, the top 2 key life values can change, and they can change in terms of the order as well. Also, I should mention that in the United States in the last 4 years, probably not surprisingly to many of you, beliefs about politics and political affiliation has become one of the top 5 or 6 now top key life values. These were the 5 in my study over time, but again, in the last 4 years, we've seen some changes, and politics, at least in the United States, has become one of those top key life values. And I could talk more about that if we have time at the end. Science finding number 3 that I'd like to talk about is that personal relationship expectations are important to identify in order to find love and in order to keep love over time. And personal relationship expectations are individuals' ideas, beliefs about an ideal relationship. So remember, key life values are within the self, within the individual. There are those beliefs and attitudes that are important to me, but personal relationship expectations are those beliefs about relationships that I have, those should statements, those ideas that I think should be in a relationship. I think this should be in a relationship. And it's important as matchmakers, coaches, and relationship experts to help your clients identify those expectations about relationships and make sure as well that they're realistic. And it's important because when our expectations don't match our real life experiences, so when those should statements in our heads don't play out in our relationships, we become frustrated, we become disappointed. And it's frustration and disappointment that eat away at happiness in a relationship. So if you as a matchmaker, as a coach, help your clients identify their expectations and make sure that they're realistic, then you can go out, or they can go out and date and find those individuals, find those partners who can meet those expectations. So identifying those expectations, communicating those expectations to partners, and then discussing and making sure partners meet those expectations, people then can sustain and keep happiness in their relationship. Now, let me show you the top 16 expectations, personal expectations about relationships when we look at science. And so these are the top 16. They're not the only relationship expectations that your clients will have, but when we look at science, they're the top 16. And I'll have you note that number 5, you have to feel that your partner would never hurt or deceive you, turns out to be the top relationship expectation, because it has to do with trust. And when I look at the individuals in my long-term study and all years of the project, 96% of the women and 92% of the men say that you have to feel that your relationship, your partner would never hurt or deceive you. And that's their top most important relationship expectation. And that's a realistic expectation when I talk to my clients, that they should have trust. Now, the exercise that I do with my clients is I have them look at all of these 16 expectations and rank the importance of each statement to their ideal relationship. So I have them think about their ideal relationship. What would it look like? What would happen in that relationship? And then for each of these 16, rank them from 1 to 14, where 1 was very important, and you can switch it where 4 is very important. It doesn't matter. I do it opposite so that people really pay attention to each of the expectations. But 1 is very important, all the way to 4, not at all important. And then from their top ranked expectations, circle their top 2 expectations from the list. And then they've identified their top expectations that they need to have met in a relationship, either a dating relationship or a long-term relationship. Now, the next question you're probably asking yourself, now that I've showed you a little bit about how you can take a scientific finding and use it in your matchmaking, your coaching, or your advice as a relationship expert, where can you find good science or research? First, Google Scholar is a great way to find science and updated science. You can go to Google Scholar, even advanced Google Scholar, put some key terms in the Google Scholar find. It can be attractiveness, it can be key life values, it can be attachment style, and you will find all of the top, most recent good science. One of the things, though, that you won't be able to see is all of the articles, because unfortunately science does not have open access right now to everyone. But what you will be able to see is a summary. It's an abstract, and that will give you a good idea about the research question, the theory, the findings, and who was looked at in each research study. And that's a great way. I even use Google Scholar a lot these days. Also, you can go to Psychology Today and look at many of their blogs. Psychologists, relationship experts have all kinds of Psychology Today blogs where you can find good recent research and science with statistics. Also, the Pew Research Center is one of my favorites. The Pew Research Center is a nonpartisan fact tank that has a lot about issues, attitudes, and trends. And I encourage you, when you go to that website, to put in family and relationships, and you'll see a lot of research and graphs and statistics about dating and divorce and relationships over time. It's a great research site. Also, in the United States, you have the US Census Bureau, which collects new data every 10 years. But even if you're located outside of the United States or you want information about individuals outside of the United States, they look at all kinds of information about relationships and divorce and dating within the United States and outside of the United States, and that's census.gov. Also, you can go to the Kinsey Institute if you're interested in specific information about sexuality, sexual behavior, and sex. Another good way to find good science is to register for one of the 2 courses that I teach through the Global Love Institute. The first is the Science-Based Coaching Certification course. I've been doing this for the last 4 years, and I see that lots of people on this conference have taken this course. It's a 12-module course within 7 weeks. The modules are on Teachables, and you will hear me discussing each module. Modules 1 and 2 are about you as a coach. So we go over personal triggers, we go over the theories about relationships and attraction, and we also go over coaching skills for you as a coach. Modules 3 and 4 are all about how to tell if your client is really ready for a relationship. Are they ready to trust? Have they let go of the emotional baggage connected to a previous relationship? Modules 5 through 7 are all about how to coach client attitudes, key life values, relationship patterns, expectations, partner preferences. Modules 8 and 9 are all about coaching client behaviors. And then modules 10 through 12 are all about coaching client relationships. I will let you know also that each week we meet as a group, and the group is small, up to 10 people, and we talk about the modules. We discuss the modules together live as a group. The next session of the Science-Based Coaching Certification course starts Tuesday, April 6th. What you'll learn is, again, science-based strategies to find and keep love. You'll also learn about an organized step-by-step plan, how to let go, help your clients let go to see if they're really ready. How can they identify patterns and beliefs? How can they set goals? How can you help them set goals? And then how can you help your clients change their attitudes and their behaviors? You'll also learn a lot about research and theories on attraction and relationships. And I think you'll learn about attachment theory, evolutionary theory, social constructionist theory, social learning theory, all the theories in psychology about attraction and relationships. You'll learn coaching skills and triggers. You'll be able to learn tools, exercises, and quiz to use with your clients. And finally, a great benefit are some strategies that you will learn to help your relationships over time so that they become happy and healthy long-term. The second course that is just starting through the Global Love Institute, which I'm really excited about, is the Master's Coaching Certification course. And this will start April 15th. It's the first time that we're starting this, up to 8 people, and it's for seasoned matchmakers and coaches, and for all people or coaches that have already gone through the Science-Based Coaching Certification course. It's a 10-month program. We'll meet once a month for an hour and a half. Again, we'll learn more science-based strategies and information, but in this course, we'll spend much more time on client challenges, on specific client case reviews, and we'll go over specific client issues and how to address them, how to use science specifically for your clients or challenges that you think you will have as you continue to coach clients. We'll also have we'll talk about your individual strengths and challenges, and you'll be able to benefit not only from me, but the other coaches' experiences and advice and what they've done, the strategies that they've used in the past. So what are the takeaways as I end? First, I've talked about the benefits of science, that science really sets you up for success with your clients. And again, I think this is true Whether you're a matchmaker, a coach, or a relationship expert, I've tried to give you a few examples of how to work with science, 3 really important science-based findings, and how you might then use them or implement them with your clients. I've shared 5 ways to find good, high-quality science, and then the 2 courses that I teach through the Global Love Institute, one, the Science-Based Coaching Certification course, and then the new course that's just starting out, the Master's Certification course. I have 2 books, as Julie mentioned, that are based on science, 5 Simple Steps to Take Your Marriage from Good to Great, and then Finding Love Again, 6 Simple Steps to a New and Happy Relationship. Both of them take all of the research and science that I have found with my long-term research project called the Early Years of Marriage Project and implemented them or made all of those great science findings accessible to the public. And finally, science is work. It is serious, but I also think science is fun, exciting, and enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Terri. It was just fascinating, and everybody here needs to jump in on those courses because it's nice to have those scientific nuggets that we can use to strengthen the work that we're doing with our clients. It's like when we're backed up by science, we have more credibility, and we appreciate your letting us know about all of that. Thanks for everything you're doing.
I also want to say the really cool thing that Terri was talking about that I think is such an added bonus for our profession is our personal growth through the work with others. And in fact, as many times as I've gone through this with Terri, I'm still taking screenshots of like, yes, I have to talk to my husband about that one, I forgot. So it's amazing because we're so lucky to continue to learn and grow about ourselves and our relationships through the work that we do. And it never, there's always something more to learn about what you share, Terri. And the beautiful thing that I love so much is that you have 30 years of research experience of all these couples, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And so as much as I could have a theory of what might work or might not work, I could be completely wrong. And in fact, even though I've seen that list over again, I was like, wait, I forgot what's actually indicating a healthy relationship and what's not. So the constant relearning and practicing in our own lives is just such a gift of this profession. So that's phenomenal. I also want to make sure, because we didn't get Violet's questions, so I want to make sure we have time for questions for Terri, because I know a lot of people were raising their hands. Sorry, Terri, I cut you off.
Oh, no, that's okay. I wanted to say that I am constantly learning as well, Lisa, from what I find in my long-term research project, but also from the coaches and matchmakers who take my course. I'm constantly saying, and I know I can see many of you who have taken the course, wow, that's such a great idea. I learn as well. And that's, I think, the unique wonderfulness about science is that it's constantly evolving and constantly changing. But thank you for that all, Lisa, as well. I'm happy to take questions. I see one of the questions. I don't know if people are going to ask me the questions out loud, but I saw that somebody asked, any thoughts on your scientific findings on the LGBTQ relationship, similarities and differences? And it's fascinating because I have not done research on the LGBTQ community, but my colleagues have. And what we know, what I can tell you, is that the same predictors of dating success and relationship success among heterosexual individuals is true of the LGBTQ community as well. Now, the outcomes may not be the same. We know that lesbian couples seem to be happier in general, higher quality relationship quality than heterosexuals and gay couples, but the predictors of happiness and the predictors of stability turn out to be the same, which I think is fascinating. And so I hope I answered Tony's question.
I think Nancy Gold had a question. Let me see if I can get her to unmute. Hold on. And Nancy, did you have a question? Was that for Terri or was that from previously from Violet? Let's see. For some reason she's not. Nancy, I don't want to cut you off.
I'm trying to unmute Nancy.
Yeah. I guess you could also try and unmute Simo. Not sure why. Huh. Okay.
This question is about Dr. John DeMartini, 13 questions on values and beliefs. So she's just curious on what your thoughts were, Terri.
I'm sorry, Corey, say that one more time.
Quick question was, what do you think about Dr. John DeMartini's 13 questions on values and beliefs? Are you familiar with that?
No, I am not familiar with that at all, unless that's the personal qualities values test. And what happens is, for many of my colleagues, unfortunately, and I don't know if this is Nancy's question or not, but many people confuse values with partner qualities, what you want in a partner, their traits, their qualities, and that's something different than the key life values. And so I'm not familiar with those 13. If anybody or Nancy, I can't see, wants to say more about that, but I'm not familiar with that. Sorry. But I can talk a little bit about the differences between key life values and partner qualities again. So partner qualities are the traits that you want in a partner. There are 3 categories. There's the social attributes. So somebody of the same religion or a religion, somebody physical attributes. I want somebody who's tall. I want somebody who has certain body size. We also have interpersonal partner qualities, someone who has a certain personality, certain maturity, is able to communicate. And then we have our deal breakers, things that we can't tolerate. So those are the beliefs about our partners. And many of my scientific colleagues, unfortunately, confuse those with our key life values, which are those underlying beliefs that are really important to us. They're the legacy that we really want to leave and how we want others to describe us. I saw that somebody said that justice could be a key life value, and that is very true. Justice, equality, equity, the role about government even is another key life value. It's not on the top 5, but there are many other key life values. Another key life value is about sexuality and intimacy and the role of touch in our relationships. And that's an important key life value to many. Again, not in the top 5, but another possible key life value.
We have one other question here. So most studies are in the US or US based. Do you think it would be reliable to consider the findings, use them as a reference for our clients in Asia and other parts of the world?
Such a good question. Thank you, Vanessa. There are lots of research studies outside of the US or even, North America, I would say, because there's a lot of research in Canada as well. But there are research studies, Vanessa, outside of the US. And those studies are wonderful. And I can refer those studies to you as well or come up with a list. But when I look at, and many of my colleagues look at studies from outside of the US or North America and inside North America, again, there are many similarities between the predictors of dating success and the predictors of relationship success. One of the things, though, that is very different is the role of nonverbal communication. It turns out that nonverbal communication and the meaning of nonverbal communication, my eye gaze, my body language, what I do with my head, right? And by the way, there's a new study out that shows that women who cock their head like this, just a teeny bit, are very attractive to men in North America, but outside of North America, it means nothing, which is fascinating. So culture, does play a role when we're talking about nonverbal communication. So there are differences, but I would say that many of the findings are similar.
All the questions we have. Thank you, Terri.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
So much, Terri. It's wonderful.
So Lisa, should we go right into Maria?
Yeah, I know that we had sort of skipped questions for Violet, but I have a feeling that Violet is probably slumbering on her desk right now. And I'm guessing that maybe if she wakes up and we have time, then we could go back. So I apologize for that. But yeah, why don't we go into Maria and then we can sort of do general overall questions before the networking.
Great. All right. Am I muted? Let me make sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're not muted.
Okay.
You're good.
Good. So I'm really excited that we have Maria here with us. Maria's been one of these people who's just blown me away this last year. She's got 2 little kids under the age of 4. One just got born. And somehow she managed to not miss a beat during this last year. And I think she's personally a friggin' rock star. She's a global leader in the matchmaking industry. She's the CEO of Agape Match, which is a matchmaking service based in New York. She's the host of a podcast that we know and love called Ask a Matchmaker. She co-founded the Matchmakers Alliance. So she's been doing this for over a decade. And she even walked into the room at her very first conference already being a leader in the industry. She's just one of those people. And the fact that she's sharing with us is awesome. So she comes from a really long history of matchmakers, like her mother and grandmother and great grandmother, and like 4 generations of matchmaking. She's orchestrated over 4,000 first dates, and her matchmaking methodology leverages each client's unique attachment style and preferred love language. I love that. So welcome to the program, Maria Avgitidis.
Good effort, but thank you so much, Julie Furman.
Did I say your name? How do you say Avgitidis?
I just, that's why I branded myself Matchmaker Maria, because, the last name is really difficult for people. It's Avgitidis, but that's okay. It's fine.
Avgitidis.
Yeah. But
all right.
You did great.
We love you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I want to take a pause for a second. Like, when you say stuff that I've done, like, I'm like, yeah, I have done these things. Like, I should pat myself in the back. How come I never celebrate shit? So I think we should all write down 2 things that we've done. So we're going to do 4 to-dos today. Everyone should write 2 things that they've accomplished this year, no matter how little, and just celebrate it today. After this, have a glass of champagne or a glass of wine with lunch and just celebrate yourself, because we don't do that enough in the solopreneurship space, which I think a lot of us are involved in. So anyway, should we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So today we are going to be talking about the 3 things you can do today to increase your brand awareness and your subsequent lead flow. Now, before we get started, I'm a little anal. This is what you see. I just took a screenshot before when Violet Lynn was speaking. I want you to go here to the top where it says view. I don't know if you have this, but where it says view. And then what I want you to do is just hit standard. This will ensure that my presentation is at the right size for you, so that, because there is small text and I really want you to see it. So if you need to screenshot, you screenshot those babies. If you want to take your phone out and take photos, do that, because there's a lot of to-do list items today, and we should do them because it's only going to increase our lead flow. So to go back, what is brand awareness? So when we think about brand awareness, a lot of people like to think about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, or even better, sometimes if you go to like different countries, like in the United States, if you ask someone, what is the thing you put on a child when they cut their skin? Terri, you're unmuted. What would you put?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Your child has cut themselves on their skin. What is the thing you would put on their skin to heal it?
A Band-Aid.
A Band-Aid. Band-Aid is actually a brand name by Johnson & Johnson. But if you are in Europe, you call it Chadzoplas, which is the name of their company. And that is brand awareness, right? We think of things that we need when a problem arises. So, I mean, you can read here, brand awareness is important because it helps audience understand, recall, and they become comfortable with the brand. Now, like I said before, some people, when they think of brand awareness, when they're giving these sort of presentations, they might think of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, right? Like, which one do you prefer? Whatever. I'm going to talk about Coca-Cola and Pepsi though, because we're all really expensive matchmakers. And chances are people are not drinking us every Friday on their cheat day. So I'm actually going to tell you a little bit really quick about the brand awareness of Carvana. Carvana is a very expensive service to use. And I mean, it's free to go on their website. You can sign up, but the product is really expensive. It's a search finder. It's a matchmaker for you and a car. And Carvana spends a lot of money. Super Bowl, Terri and Megan's Oprah interview, they spend money in key places for advertising and also branding so that you remember them next time you need a car. And next time you need a car, you might hit Carvana. Even me presenting this right now, now you probably are aware of Carvana. My husband and I used this service to buy our last car. We went on Carvana, we used their app, we found a car and we bought it off. So we didn't even have to go to a dealership during a pandemic. And this is because Carvana really bets on brand awareness. So similar to a matchmaking service, we're a window shop. People only come up once, right? Maybe every, maybe once in their lifetime. Carvana is also betting on that, right? They're not spending $2 million for a 30-second commercial during Super Bowl Sunday because they think that everyone's going to buy a car now. They're investing in their brand awareness and you being comfortable with their brand. And this is what you need to think about as a dating service provider, especially as a high-end service provider. There's a lot of assumptions that we make, as I see that some matchmakers make when they're online or even offline. They say, sign up right now, sign up right now, sign up right now. Instead, what can people learn about your brand that they can hold on to when they need it or relay that information for you? So one of the things that I like to say to increase your brand awareness is stop saying, join my free database. My Lord, half of you are on Clubhouse spending the entire time saying, join my free database, join my free database, join my free database. We get it. And one of the problems with that phrase is that you're immediately telling them that something is free. So you've already created this bubble of perception that I'm just a matchmaker providing free services, when that's not really the case, right? You want to be not only a lead generation machine, but a quality lead generation machine. Instead, you could say stuff like, hi, this is how I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Matchmaker Maria. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Clubhouse. And I've put the tag Matchmaker Maria. Because I've utilized this brand, like whenever I'm on Clubhouse, rarely do I say join my free database, unless someone asks like how they can work with me. Then I'll say, you can join my database. It is free to be a member, but I don't like to say free database at once. I also like to redirect them somewhere else. And I will tell you during I have yet to even go to the 3 to-do list items. Right now, I'm just concentrating on brand awareness. But I tell them to find me here so they can get to know me, because I don't want to assume that that person is A, available to be in a relationship, and B, can afford to be in a relationship. But if I can get them hearing my content, reading my content, listening to my content or reading my content, then I have a fan, and that fan is going to tell more people. And the 2 images below, these weren't even created by me. This is my fan base has generated this content. So I don't know if you know this, but every Wednesday I do Ask a Matchmaker stories on my Instagram. It's also the name of my podcast. And suddenly my followers started using what would Matchmaker Maria do, or WWMMD. This is now on a mug. You can buy this in a shower curtain. People have bought it on pillows. It's really interesting to see how they did that. And then sometimes people ask me stupid questions, and some questions are stupid. And I would say stuff like, well, let me check my crystal ball. And then they created this for me as well. And now that's on pillows and notebooks and shower curtains. It's really weird. And that's because I have a fan base that has completely bought into the brand, even if they're not currently paying to use the brand. Then what happens? Those people, when they hear, I always say, you can always count on women. Anytime they meet another woman, they always talk about the 2 Ds, dieting and dating, anytime. And so if they're talking about dating, if they've had a good experience through me, or if they're listening from dating, or if they're watching my social media, they will tell their friends. And the same for men. A lot of our male clients have come from word of mouth from women. Hey, brother, looks like you're single. Hey, boss, have you heard of Matchmaker Maria? In fact, I found out yesterday, my publicist told me before I hired them, they told me that because they're all fans in the office, they used me as a team building exercise every Wednesday night. So they're in California. They would do a Zoom call and with drinks, and apparently they read all of my Ask a Matchmaker Q&As to each other. And so you've got people that are already bought into a brand, right? And so that's what you're looking for with brand awareness. So you don't want to assume that people are single. So now I'm going to go through 3 to-do list items. The first, you need an active social media presence. Now, my presentation, if you've ever seen me present stuff, I'm going to give you actual things to do today. I'm not going to talk to you in theory. This is pure application. So get your phones ready, screenshot if you need to, but these are the things you should do today. That's the name of the presentation. I'm really sticking to it. Okay. So you need an active social media presence. Now, it's ideal if you're using Facebook and Twitter to post at least twice a day. On Instagram, you should be posting 3 times a week unless you are promoting an aesthetic. If you need an example of that, I'll have a slide later on, but my company's Instagram, instagram.com/agapematch, Crisula will put the link in the chat. You'll see that we have an aesthetic. So we only post once a week, but we put 3 posts up. And the reason why you want to post this many times is because I cannot tell you how many clients have chosen my company over another competitor's because of social media. They didn't find me through social media. Maybe they heard about me through a friend, or I ranked really highly on Google. But when, this is what happens when people reach out to a matchmaker, they didn't just reach out to you, they reached out to 3 other services, and they open you all up. They know all the prices. Now they're going to do their due diligence, and they look at your Facebook. They do look at your Twitter. They do look at your LinkedIn. They look at your Instagram. They want to make sure that the person that they're about to pay $25,000 to, $50,000 to, hell, the people that pay $5,000 to matchmakers have more to lose, because that money is so precious compared to the person paying $25,000 just on a value platform, right? Because that money is really important, they want to make sure they're giving to someone who is active and legitimate. And this is how people judge. When was the last time they posted on Twitter? When was the last time they posted on Instagram? Oh, Agape Match's Instagram page looks really good. Oh, this company doesn't even have an Instagram page. Who's real? Who am I giving my money to? Now you can check out bufferapp.com or later.com to schedule your posts. I know what I just said seems really daunting. I will tell you that, my company does have business services. So if you feel like you need to have a conversation about this, we handle several matchmakers companies like social media, but this is a great way to start. Dedicate one day a month just to plan out the rest of the month in terms of social media, posting stuff. It does not have to be original. You could just post articles that you read on Psychology Today, or post a link to Dr. Terri Orbuch's book. But the point is that you need to be posting. When you are on social media, to add to this, right? If you are posting, I want you to understand that you are leading them to a page. So before I said, hi, I'm Matchmaker Marie. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Clubhouse. So if I send someone to my Instagram, right, this place that you're posting, I want to make sure that they understand how they're going to interact with me and how they're going to contact me. So when you interact, I want this. So this is a personal friend that I have, but she's the CEO of Quintessentially, which is a very expensive members only club. I think it's something like $30,000 a year to just be invited to really cool events. Okay, so she has it linked here. And so by even subscribing, if you're a personality driven brand, if you have this, you want to say CEO to quintessentiallymatchmaking.com, let's say, right? So that when someone clicks it, they are now sent to this page, to the company's page. And then they can see the beautiful aesthetic. They can see different highlight reels here. They could see how many people follow it. They can see that, oh, this is a legitimate service. Now, before I said you want someone to want them to interact. Now let's talk about contact you. like I said before, you shouldn't assume that every single person you speak to on Clubhouse, especially, but even out and about, or someone who's following Instagram, they're single. If you are a brand, and there's a lot of personality driven brands in matchmaking, but if you are a brand, there's a lot of money on the table. And there's a lot of ways for people to get to you. So I'm going to show you mine. I'm also going to show, I don't know if she's on, but Carmelia Ray, I swiped your Instagram as well. But you can use the Linktree or Social Tap to connect your audience to all of your content with just one link. So if you are currently on Instagram and this here just says your website, agapematch.com, you are missing out on really good lead gen. Not everyone wants to go to your website, but let me tell you, because people are very familiar with Linktree, or they'll click it because they know it's not a regular website, they'll click it to see what do you have here. And what happens is when they click it, they're going to get something like this, where you can now put separate links for things. I want you to know, a lot of these links go to the same thing, but I'm educating the person who has come to my social media to know how they can work with me. And I'm educating them in just a few characters. So for instance, join the Agape Match database. Let Maria set you up. This is a call to action. Enroll in bootcamp, Maria's group coaching intensive. Both of these go to different parts of my website. They both lead to agapematch.com, but different parts of the website. Schedule an introductory call, work with Maria. So this is where people can become clients, and that will take you to a calendar link. Schedule an online dating profile makeover. Again, this takes you to another calendar link. Send in your question, rant for the Ask a Matchmaker podcast. Oh, Maria has a podcast. There are more below here. TikTok. I don't know if you guys follow me on TikTok. I think I'm a little funny, but TikTok, this is where people can put online dating profile submission. I will tell you, of all of these, this gets the most. I have like several thousand submissions at this point. But this is the way this is how I utilize the link in my Instagram. Now, I also want you to notice that, I'll show this to you later, but this is Matchmaker Maria. I have a different link tree for my company, and I'll show that to you momentarily. But this is just me. Now, you don't have, this is very simple. I like personally the aesthetic of this. I don't want to confuse people with too much graphics or too many things. That's just me, because I really want them to do things that so like if you notice every single thing here, it basically makes me get their emails and add them in. Every single call to action here does not take them to some blog where I don't collect their email. I need your email for this. 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 And I need your email for this, which means all of them that get subscribed to my newsletter. And then the first 2 weeks, they get 5 emails saying, here are our services. Here is what we do. Like, they get more things that they need to know. Now, this is, I use Carmelia Ray. So there's 2 websites. There's Linktree and there's Social Tap. So Social Tap, same thing. Here, there's more features. You can put a little video. Carm has Clubhouse, Growth Network Series. Carm is a star, and she's got a lot of, like a star. She has a lot of things that are going on, and you can see it here. She's got different things going on. So this is tough for some people. This might make sense for their branding. I love it for Carmelia Ray, because Carm has just a ton of things that she's got going on. For me, whenever I use things, like even if I use SocioTap, I would still only have things that I can guarantee that I will get their email to utilize in some way. I'm sure a lot of these you can get emails as well. But I think for me that throws me off is the video. Like, I don't want someone watching the video, because then it's one less thing. I don't want more than 20 seconds to pass before I get their email. And so what does this mean? I want you to know now, look, I've asked a few matchmakers, and I don't know what averages you have. And if you want to share in the chat, by all means. But my company, which is New York City based, we get a minimum of 20 leads a day. And I spend $0 on advertising, 0. I'm not doing SEO. I'm not doing Google ads. So 20 leads a day. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and show you, because if you do like Linktree and SocioTap, you can see your analytics. I started this particular one on January 1st. Like, I reset it, the lifetime. And so here you can see that 4,280 people have clicked the link on Instagram. And Of those 4,000, nearly 3,000 people have clicked one of these. So the click-through rate is 70%. And I feel like depending on what it is, I think our conversion rate is somewhere in like the 12 to 15% range, depending on what it is. So I'm able to get people signing up. And this is just for social media. This is not including, you know, we got a New York Times feature last year, which if you're doing press, you always ask, don't expect it, but ask, hey, can you link back to my website? And again, press, stuff like this is all for brand awareness. I was featured in an article in New York Times back in May. I had not seen a lead from that until the last month. In the last 4 weeks, we've had, I think, like 6 women join our coaching program just from that article alone. So we're finally making money off of that. And here you can see it's very easy. You just put in like, what do you want the type to be? And here's the link, and you can see what it looks like here. You get a little image. And this is Agape matches. So I don't have the same link tree on my company's website. Look, I think when people follow me on Instagram or social media, they're buying into a personal brand. Agape match, this link tree is the company's. It says Agape match. And this is what it looks like. It's blue. It goes with the logo, the brand awareness. And you know, this, like, look at the difference between, this is my personal. I have the big black column that people know where they get their Q&As, the best of the best every week. And then this is Agape match's beautiful aesthetic done by Anna Maria, who's in this conference right now. And like I said, we do this for a few other matchmaking companies as well on our business ops division. But essentially what I'm trying to do is when someone finally goes onto Agape Match, they can see, oh, I'm a legitimate website, a legitimate service that likes nice things. And if you're going to spend $25,000 on my service, you should expect nice things like this. I know marketing. I know what you're looking for. You're looking for an experience, and experience begins digitally. To do, your last to do, this is the last thing. And this is going to be the easiest thing to do, but you're going to do it today. You're going to fix your sign-up form. I am so sick of not seeing this. So when you have a sign-up form, do you know why one of the reasons people they go to your website and you have low conversion rate, you have like not enough people signing up? It's because you haven't taught them what they're getting. So many people will see a lead form and they get shocked. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. Let me think about it. What am I going to do? You know what, I'll do this later. And then of course they go online dating, swipe. Oh, I don't need a matchmaker. I can do this on my own. Like, you've just missed out on a really good email where you can keep reminding them, hey, you're still single every month. Come on, use me. What's the problem? So what I want you to do in your sign-up form is to add these things. First, I'd like to be listed in your company's name directory, parentheses, free membership. I don't know what your business model is. You might have different business models, but this is for my business model, so act accordingly. So I'd like to be listed in the company name directory, free membership. I would like to learn more about becoming a client. Please contact me. So if you put the first question on your form to say, how can we help you? People are really inclined to just press it to see what are their options. They just want to see. And when they see, oh, free membership, maybe they'll click that. I like to put free membership up because you want to make it seem like you're not selling to them constantly. I like it like that. And then they'll put client. Now, here's the best part. Just because they sign up as free membership doesn't mean they're going to be free. They're going to get your welcome email that's going to remind them, hey, maybe you signed up as a free member, but you've changed your mind. Here's a link to schedule a discovery call with me. Or you can say to, you can keep emailing them. Like if you have a MailChimp campaign, for instance, you know, maybe in a few weeks or in your monthly newsletter, did you change your mind? You can become a client by clicking this link. And this will increase your signups immediately. And this is what you want. I also want to mention, if you're not doing this, it is illegal in the state of California, which means it's illegal across the country to not offer LGBT matchmaking. So if your form doesn't have, you don't have to have LGBT matchmaking, but if your form doesn't have gendered open, so for instance, I am a woman, man, and I'm interested in meeting woman, man, where they can select those things. Don't make the assumption that they're all straight or all gay. That will make you, compliant across all states. Okay. That was really quick. I know. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you feel like you want to have another conversation with me one-on-one, you can email me right here, maria@agapematch.com. Anyone will tell you that I'm very collaborative in nature. I love helping people. And if there's a way that I can help your brand, your established brand, let's talk about it. Or I am working with Louis Felix, who's speaking tomorrow on Powering Your Matchmaking Business Masterclass. And should you decide to enroll in this, it's a intense 5-session over 2 weeks program where we talk about brand and business development, attracting quality clients, extending your network, and cultivating your network. And this program is not only for new matchmakers, but even seasoned matchmakers who are interested in remastering their brand to help them get quality leads. Of course, those two groups are separated. So if you've been in business less than 2 years, you'd be in one group coaching. And then if you're in business for more than 2 years, you're in another group with more established and seasoned matchmakers. You also have the option of doing one-on-one. And that is it from me personally. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Maria. Packed with content in a short period of time. Thank you. So it's time for the networking session. We're a couple of minutes early. Lisa, is there anything we want to do before we dive in?
Just any last minute questions before we have 1 minute for one question. And if not, I just want to remind everyone that this is day 1 of the 2021 conference, and day 2 is tomorrow, same time, 10 o'clock till 1:30 with networking again tomorrow at 1. So I hope everyone can join us tomorrow. We're going to have a really great lineup. Do you want to, Julie, talk a bit about our wild lineup tomorrow?
Oh, well, goodness gracious. Tomorrow is, let me just go to tomorrow's agenda because the whole thing is so beautifully packed. It's and I also appreciate, Lisa, that you guys made it over 2 days because otherwise it's too much and it's too overwhelming. So this is great. Tomorrow we're going to hear from Jamie Lee, who's the other half of Violet Lim, and all about technology, growing and scaling our dating businesses to the next level. Then we're going to find out a little bit more about joining the Global Love Database. So you're going to hear about that tomorrow. Lisa will be telling us. We're going to hear from a guy named Tim Ash, all about his marketing, all kinds of fascinating things that we don't know about yet. You guys know Louis Felix. He's going to be speaking to us tomorrow, which is really about getting the highest return that we can get from the leads that we spend so much time and energy trying to create. And then, of course, we have Patty Stanger speaking with us tomorrow, and she's going to teach us how to become a reality TV celebrity matchmaker. Oh my goodness, it's going to be a jam-packed day. And then we'll also have networking again tomorrow. And you're put into different groups randomly, so you've got different opportunities to meet a whole bunch of different people personally.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. And thanks everyone for coming today. It is officially our largest conference that we've ever had at over 200 attendees, and another couple hundred had signed up and will be receiving the recording. So this has been a humongous turnout. So thank you for everyone participating. So we're going to actually randomly have breakout sessions right now, and we'll have 3 separate sections at 10 people per room, and hopefully this will go well.